I'm not sure what's happening with this thing. I did sort it out earlier, but no, that's what's happening here. Can anybody see this? Is this broadcasting onto the same place? If anybody can hear this, you just need to bear with me. I get this sorted out. Right, okay, cool. So, here. Bear with me, I see who's here. Right, so people are saying that I'm live anyway, so I don't really need to see myself talking. I see that Orphan Red, hello. I'll try and keep my eye on this thing here. I was hoping that, you know, if anybody wants to come in and have a chat, I would send them the link to this hangout. Just let me know. You can talk about anything you want. But I'll address this first. I see that Conspiracy Mystic is here having a go for some reason. Obviously this whole Laurie Gale thing. I'll go to these comments just now and have a look. I don't even know if this is fucking working. So I'm here. Okay, cool. I can shut that. Honest to God, this is a fucking headache, man. So am I commenting somewhere else at a different comment section here now? Justin Sherwood, I don't know if all is working. I need verification if somebody can see. Right, anyway. I'm just come away from that. So I'm not sure what this Conspiracy Mystic and Laurie's problem is. I'll try and address them. You know, I'd rather just have some discussion about stuff, but you know, you're always going to get this kind of behaviour, unfortunately. Conspiracy Mystic, it's funny, I once thought you were a very handsome man, but now all I see in you is ugliness. I'm glad Laurie isn't going to go live with you. She deserves better than you. I never asked Laurie to go live. You know, I said even if, you know, people like Laurie or anybody wants to come in and have a chat, I'm open for that. But this just shows me this culty, cliquey behaviour. You know, and I see that Laurie's going on about I called her a bitch here. You know, I said there's a difference between, you know, analysing content and dealing with things in a logical sense and just, you know, mindless name calling. and misrepresenting. And that was the whole problem with, you know, like Laurie Gale. You know, I was civil to that woman and gave her my time. And, you know, she's on a hangout fucking bitching and misrepresenting me, you know, making claims about things that I've said that I haven't. You know, and this whole thing with her and Jed, you know, at the end of the day, they have an issue with me saying, be logical, you know, and let's deal with it in a logical sense. But, you know, all they want to offer is whining and fucking moaning. Hang on a minute. Where are we here? So now I'm a mindless bitch. Really, that doesn't sound very inviting to me, dear. I was hoping how quick you are to point fingers at me and Jed while you call people too. Well, see, this is the thing. You know, any video content that I've put out there, I'll just make sure. Any video content that I've put out there, you know, I've tried to stay logical and not be personal. You know, at the end of the day, this is a question, you know, an objective question. So, you know, how have we to deal with it? You know, drama and emotion and calling each other names? I don't think so. You know, it has to be dealt with logic and reason. Now, you know, what happened between me, Laurie and Jed was the fact that, you know, they overstepped the mark. You know, and start misrepresenting and telling blatant lies about people. That's where my issue was. Okay? Now, you know, and then you come here and you've got this fucking name calling by Conspiracy Mystique and Laurie Gale. You know, they just fly off the handle. They're so super sensitive, and I don't know why. But I'm not going to waste too much time on them. So I'm just going to take it for granted that people can hear me here. Right, so we're on another link then, so we're somewhere else. Right. You seem to be Justin Sherwood, you seem to be the only one who wants results on this while the others sit back in their glory. Yeah. See, you know, people just want to go so far. In fact, they seem to find a place where they've got popularity and a bit of attention and you know, they just don't want to push it any further. It's like a game. You don't realise that, you know, we're in a fucking, well, I class it as a serious situation. I want to know where the fuck I live. And there's an active push to suppress that and to, you know, lie about it. So, you just need to bear with me here that I'm new to this. So I'm probably be kind of all over the place. If, as I say, if anybody wants to come in and have a chat, discussion about anything, then, you know, I'm open to it. Just let me know and I'll put the link into this chat box here. So, you know, as I say, going back to that, you know, there's a difference, but you know, when we look at things with logic and reason and try and discuss things with each other, and then, you know, there's just telling lies and being bitchy for the sake of being bitchy and for attention. So, you know, I never called Laurie, you know, here she is again, you called her a mindless bitch. That's the tamest things you've said about her. You're more than kind of a dick, dude. Grow the fuck up. You know, Conspiracy Mystique, I don't even know what you're talking about here. You're just on shouting things in a certain light. You know, people like you better start actually providing proof. You know, I take the time and I go through people's content, you know, and I'll fairly analyse it, you know, and sometimes I do get passionate. Okay, now this whole thing started with your pal because, you know, she sat bitching and misrepresenting with another illogical chap called Jed who misrepresented and told lies and tried to slander. That's the truth of the matter. Okay, go and watch the videos, trace it back the timeline and look at the sequence of events and look at how people dealt with stuff. Okay, everything's in the content. Well, Rory McFizz is saying, I have to back Conspiracy Mystique, she's a good person, things get twisted for drama. It's a misunderstanding, it's a breakdown in communication. You know, I mean, look at the whole thing when I mentioned Satanism. As I say, part of that was my journey. That was my, you know, a learning for me. So when I highlight it and I say to people, no, I encourage you to read this content for yourself, that the reaction you get is, you know, slanderous claims, and then claims that I'm a Satanist, and that I represent this whole group, and that I'm part of this whole group, and it's people that are generalising. It's a logical fallacy, you know. So, you know, when I see people getting into that, I'm going to address it. So, and then the communication breaks down because one party can't see where you know their flaw is. They don't take responsibility for that flaw, so it just cascades into this. You know, and people get defensive, and they're here name calling before anything's even said. You know, so as I say, I don't really have a topic here. I'm just going to kind of go on the comments and hope that, you know, anybody who wants to can come in and join me. Like Conspiracy Mystic, it's not really about you. I mean, I've never even spoke to you. So why are you here getting involved? Running your mouth about your friend. Understand the content. Look at the sequence of events. You know, address things, articulate things, specific points, you know, and we can have a discussion about it. That's the problem in communication. You know, you're just here running your mouth off with emotion, right? Let's deal with some logic. You give me logically, you know, where things broke down. You give me your sequence of events, right? Yeah, if nobody could say that Laurie wasn't playing on emotions, then you're blind. Like some people are just, you know, operating on an emotional level. I think there's a, you know, there's a game going on to keep things on an emotional level, and you know, as long as people are at that level, then they can be manipulated and controlled. You know, and there is some genuine people who are just, you know, operating still from that level. But that's the thing. This whole thing's about where we live. It's an objective question. You know, there's a language we can use for that, that removes our subjectivity. You know, none of our opinions really count in this. It's what can be measured and tested and observed, and that's my whole point. So when I said, you know, we need to remove emotion from that question, that was my whole thing. That's the truth of the matter. You know, but all these other emotional games have been brought into it. So that's what I highlight. As I say, people can play emotional games willingly and knowingly, and some people are just operating at that level and they're not really in awareness of their behaviour. So I'm distracted here with this comments thing. Where are we? Curiosity. Right, it seems to be the Conspiracy Mystic show here. I know the sequence of events. She makes a vid, then you make a vid, step by step, slamming what she says. I've seen your vid, man. Have you? Never slammed anything she said. You know? Laurie Gale addressed me and asked me questions, and I duly replied. I don't know where I slammed her. Go and get it, highlight it, show exactly, you know, where she was slammed. I mean, come on. If Conspiracy Mystic, are you really interested in communication, or are you just here to fucking, you know, stir up shit and drama? You know, if you want to be articulate and actually get to the root of problems, then start putting it across properly. Magumba FC, you know, sure, I'm going to make you a mod. Sure if that worked. I'm done, I'm leaving, I said my piece, I'm finished, I have a lovely hangout, bye-bye. Well, you know, bye-bye. At the end of the day, you know, as I call it, and I ask you to articulate it properly and have a proper discussion and actually put the stuff there that you're talking about, you run away, and that's the usual. You know? Everybody is entitled to an opinion. You know? But in this case, for me, opinions mean fuck all. You know, The question is, where do we live? It's an objective question. It's for natural science. End of story. The rest of it's just added on. So, what else have we got here? So as I say, you know, that this is why discussion breaks down, because, you know, people just want to read things, you know, they'll just shout it out there and make a big song and dance and hope that they get enough people to follow them or get into their wee clique. You know, that's fine. No one's flower. I think people start off with a passion for truth, but this passion is itself an emotion. So if people aren't careful, they will let themselves get dragged into emotional manipulation. Well, that's it, you know. The passion for truth is what drives me, you know, and it's not about me saying, you know, you don't have emotion. I've already addressed this before with people. You know, it's just that when, you know, in this whole arena, the reason I was saying about emotional manipulation, emotional games, was to recognise the players. You know, if they're operating on an emotional level and they're trying to sway people's opinions on an emotional level rather than a logical, factual level, then there's a serious issue for me. Flat earthers are Jade Rosdell has absolutely nothing to do with a opinion. This is observable, objective reality. All points should be able to be verifiable. I'm with you, brother. Cheers, bro. You know, that's the truth of it. You know, and it's funny that we're not seeing any Globe disciples in here, because they know they're going to be asked for verifiable proof. You know, and at the end of the day, I'm way past that. You know, it's never going to be a Globe. It's over as far as I'm concerned. You know, what I've been doing recently is just trying to, you know, understand the mind, you know, manipulation, emotional manipulation, and how it goes in this situation in the first place. Justin Sherwood, it's a shame there is division in this. Would be a lot nearer to truth if we got together. No, that's it, man. You know, that's the whole thing. That's what I've been saying. You know, it's trying to separate, you know, objective and subjective. You know, this question, you know, we need to unite as a whole to understand that it's an objective question, and there's a certain set of rules and a language that we can use for that. You know, and if we can discard the drama, the unnecessary claims, the unprovable claims, and the you know, the rest of it that's involved in this, you know, we would get there a lot quicker. You know, why do you think they were banning me for the Facebook groups, and, you know, they don't want me near? It's because, you know, when you understand the game and you can whittle it down, you know, that's dangerous, because, you know, they required us to have a map and a model in the first place. And that was the patterns I could see early on, was them jumping in and not even focusing on the globe. It was just, you know, claim, you know, prove the flat earth, prove this claim, prove that claim, you know, and that was it. So, sorry, I'm getting distracted here. Rory McFizz. At the end of the day, who's going to stand up and speak out to the powers that be, that we have all been lied to? No one will. This will stay on YouTube and go round and round. No one will do anything. You know, I kind of agree, you know, Rory. This can only go so far on here, although that is spreading, and I'm hearing, you know, in my own social circles that more and more people are talking about it. You know, as I said before, I think when it gets to a level of people, you know, numbers is important, and it will spill into the street, you know, and then who knows where it will go. But somebody says this to me before, you know, that you know, I'm begging the government for answers. No, I'm not begging the government for answers. If people are in a state of critical thought and they understand that critical thought, you know, people can say, look, we're not playing any games unless, you know, everything's out in the open. You know, no more lies. Everything needs to be transparent. But it's getting people to a level where they actually want that. You know, logically, that's where we need to be. you know, I've got plans to go out into the street and have an effect, but as I said before, I'm a realist, you know, expecting, you know, everyday people to get to this level of understanding is a bit far-fetched, but just having them pissed off enough to know that they've been lied to is good enough for me. Remember, there is no division by those looking for it. If everyone sticks to the facts, there should be no division, exactly. You know, because this whole thing about religions and cults and blah, 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 for me, this is science. This is about the objective truth. You know, there shouldn't be any division. It should only be discussion. People can have their opinions and their beliefs about what it might be, but, you know, that's a subjective thing that should be, as far as I'm concerned, kept to yourself, unless it's, you know, put out there as a philosophy and stated so. Well, like he sorry had to step out there, much respect. Cheers, Martin. You know, and Martin, I'm sure Martin understands, you know, my methods and my goals is not to bring people down on a personal level, because at the end of the day, I don't know any on a personal level, and I don't know Martin. For me, it's about the content, and I get a wee bit pissed off and harassed that platforms being given to, you know, illogical, false claims. And, you know, as I say, my manner and how I dealt with it, you know, I could have dealt with it better. But the truth's the truth. You know, and at least Martin's got strength to realise that, you know, it's not about me putting him down. It's the total opposite. Flat Earth Vancouver, BC, I've not seen you about for a while, man. Hope you're good. That Flat Earth Vancouver, BC was one I tried to reach out to earlier on, but no directly. You know, I done some videos and said, look, you know, there's a method in order to realise who these players are and where the game is without, you know, causing a big drama and just pointing fingers on a personal level. So, GeoShifter, do it live, take a football, spin and pour some water. You can prove gravity live. At the end of the day, you know, there was a huge amount of sarcasm when I done that video, but, you know, for me it always was the only proof, you know, measurable proof that we really had. Sorry, I think these comments have just jumped where am I here? I've lost myself. The football thing. So I'll just catch up with the comments as I get in here. No one's for a wrong, Rory McFizz. We can go directly to the government agencies and tell them they work for us, so they say, well, that's the truth, you know. At the end of the day, it's about us taking control and saying, you know, what we want. You know, we set the standard. It's, you know, the imaginary rules and everything that we set out. It's us that play along to it. You know, they need to play our game. As far as I'm concerned, they are the minority. So if we set our standard out and direction, then, you know, they need to toe the line. Jonah Worm's drama is just a total distract. Of course it is. GeoShifter, go Globe Earth. You're welcome to come in and defend the globe if you want, GeoShifter. Good evening, all Markovsky. Good evening. Globe belief, Arwin. Globe belief is about reinforcing fear of ridicule and use math to attempt and portray an artificial reality, conveniently leaving out details that would prove the opposite. Yeah, as I said that before, you know, for me the whole game is about pushing you away from the actual realisation that this is a designed thing you're experiencing here, this thing that we're calling life. You know, and the fear and the disorientation comes from, you know, the globe lie. As I've said before, it's a false foundation. Nothing's going to make sense. And the behaviours we see from people today, you know, the cultures they're born into, you know, for me, that's a huge part of that has been contributed to, you know, by the globe cult. You know, religious programming in order to, you know, disorientate people and keep them under control. As I say, the whole game, you know, the whole game for me is about keeping us still. You know, analysing, you know, the matter, and, you know, trying to sort out our social lives and, you know, the problems we have with each other, when really, you know, if we went and explored, we would probably find a whole lot of answers. But no, the whole game seems geared to me to just keep us here. I think they'll be quite content as long as we stay here, you know, and that's why I said, you know, I can see them pushing another paradigm, another false model. Martin Heidel, I'm sharing it. Not sure what you mean, mate. Cameron of the Clan Mitchell, what you think of the first space station in UK, maybe being in Scotland? What are they talking about? I'm not sure about this. I've not looked into that. I'll have a look though. It's obviously going to be bollocks. You know? At the end of the day, we know the possibilities of where we live. So these images and any images they offer of globes and whatever else, you know, they have to be fake. Mr. Brittam, yes, this is where it goes wrong. Flat Earth was science-based, it's now drama-based. Yeah. And I think, you know, the more people that come in, as I say, there's people at different levels of awareness or whatever you like. You know, and that's just what they're used to. That's how they operate. You know, everything in our public arena is set up to sway you on an emotional level. You know, the news is not really objective. None of your media is objective. There's no facts or any logic in it. You know, they're no big in pushing critical thought. So, as I say, this whole release of the flat Earth now, and for me, the next, you know, lie, whatever it might be, you know, that's going to be achievable if they can keep people in that same state of mind. And that's what I'm saying. You see a lot of players involved in this, you know, and that's the level they're operating on. So. Rory's right, we're in a loop. I must be missing comments here. Conspiracy mystic message deleted. I can only imagine that's for something. I don't know. I'm not really one for censoring, but if people are just continuing to call names, you know, the people have moderated, I've said to them, you know, I'm not one to censor anybody. People can say what they want. But if it's just mindless babble, then obviously it's going to be deleted. Geoshifter, the drama comes mostly from the shells and they are falling big time. Yeah. Well, you can see them scrambling, Geoshifter. You know, every time you make a move, they scramble. And they think you can't see them. No one's for the people in government are only people at the end of the day. We can go to them and hold them to account, speak truth to power. Yeah. And that's what I've said before. You know, these whole Armageddon type scenarios of troops on the street and, you know, battling against the people, and, you know, at the end of the day it gets to a level where they're just people the same as us. You know, not every single one of them is a psychopath. I think, you know, when reality starts to set in, they would start to question, you know, these people are real people with emotions and families and stuff as well. And the same is true in the military. You know, I've got to aim for my ideal, you know, full exploration. You know, the military, all militaries involved, you know, let's explore, you know, and if you can get that message to the people, then that's the people that count as far as I'm concerned. Season 3, I'm going to marry Patricia Steer till death does it part after she's on her own. If that's Flyer Vancouver. Laurie McFizz, Dale, give me your honest response. You tell me in your opinion what you're doing to give Flat Earth more understanding. Do you feel your channel gives a direction in any context? Well, Laurie, I've just done kind of analysing, you know, and if you went back, I know some of them are long, but the direction for me was, you know, at the start, it was to understand what science really was, and to see, you know, see the lies and the manipulation that was going on, you know, by people pushing the globe. You know, and also to analyse, you know, all I can do is share my experiences and how I understood the mind to be working and how I could see manipulation happening, you know, understanding my own hidden beliefs that I had, insecurities and wishes and hopes. You know, it was all about analysing myself. You know, and then I could recognise the tactics being used in the arena, and that's what I tried to put out there. So, you know, what I'm trying to offer people is the tools for critical thought. It's how to clear away the shit and just cut right to it, you know. And as I say, separating subjective experience to the objective truths. So I hope that kind of answers it. Arwen again, professional politics is based on keeping people in the dark and taking over responsibility, not about freedom and the truth. Those erode government over time. Yeah, that's it. The politics is just about, you know, winning you over on an emotional level, propaganda, and that's it. You know, they don't. You know, if these people were really interested in empowering you, they would be instilling critical thought, and they would dismantle the structure that they have. You know, with their hierarchical structure and the way it is structured, you know, it's just set up for them to succeed. Martin Maestro, I must be way behind in the comments here. You know what? You need one of us flat earthers to get a job in one of the space agencies and work against him from inside. I think, to be honest with you, that the space agencies are going to be held accountable regardless. You know, I think the governments and whoever else will just blame them. You know, that's why all that footage for me, the bubbles and the bendy doors and all the anomalies, you know, that for me, that's deliberate. You know, if they really wanted to keep the show going, that stuff would, you know, they'd be meticulous. None of that stuff would be released. So, John Smith, good to see you, John. Let there be division and search for truth. Those sticking with reality and those who reinforce the globe or other false models. Yeah. As I say, this isn't it's not about, you know, all of us agreeing on our subjective experiences. You know, I'm not for everybody, you know, and everybody's not for me. But at the end of the day, we've got a common goal as far as I'm concerned, and that's to discover where we are. And that's where my passion lies, and I'm only looking to identify people who really want that. So. Mark Lower, don't forget there's no flat working model yet. I think it's just a matter of time, but I could be wrong. You know, I don't get what this working model thing is. You know, this model thing comes from the globe where we can see the whole thing in one go. You know, without the exploration, any models for me are totally flawed. You know, you need to be able to verify or falsify, and you need to explore. So, you know, models for me are unimportant. You know, it's bringing people to the realization of what's actually happening. And then where do we go next from there? And as I say, logically, the next step for me is, you know, forcing full disclosure and full exploration. You know, and as I say, people think that's far-fetched and fanciful, but ideally that's the only logical place we can go, you know, where I can aim for. You know, at the end of the day, I'm not saying people, you know, if they want to waste time working on models, that's up to them. But if they're claiming that they're true or giving people the impression that they're going to somehow, you know, reveal a true model, then for me that's a lie, unless they've got the backing of you know, the world's military, and they're going to have full exploration. So, Alice 1844, hello Dale, for what it's worth, surely there comes a point where we stop trying to convince those who don't want to know and move on to take a deeper look. Yeah, well, you know, that's the point. You know, and I've had this dilemma with myself before. It's not really about convincing. You know, if I can plant a seed to somebody, you know, like your life and, you know, where you think yours a lie, because for me that's important. Now, if there is an active push to tell somebody that lie, then surely, you know, we can take responsibility to counter it. I'm not trying to convince anybody that I've got the answers to life or what it means or anything. You know, I'm just trying to encourage that exploration and the discovery of where we really are can maybe take us closer to who we are. Because right now, you know, all I see is people clutching at straws in every walk of life and every culture, trying to make sense of it. But, you know, and the reason that's happening is because, you know, their foundation's been taken away from them, as far as I'm concerned. And a deeper look, I've had a deeper look inside myself. I've heard, you know, a lot of this talk. Let's look inward for the answers, look inward for the answers. Well, I did look inward for the answers. And the answers I found was, you know, I need to stop believing things. I do not know where the fuck I am, and I do not know what the fuck this life's about. That was the realisation for me once I had went through all the emotional stuff, you know, my cultural programming, family programming, all the levels of it. You know, I got to that point of, you know, right, none of this is real. So, and now there's enough of this. Let's look inward. This is another trap, as far as I'm concerned. Looking inward, stay still, look inward, look inward. Let's just explore the matter of the place. Let's explore how far it goes, and we may find answers. Who knows? Edge Bob, I know the way out. Just head to Capello. That's where Greenock Morton play. It's a black hole there, is it not? You better phone Neil deGrasse and let him know that you found it. Radio Man. It's strange nobody cares about my real deal map. So far I only get one response. What the fuck is wrong with you all? I'm not sure what this is. If this is about the heart-shaped things, you know, I've seen this from, oh, what's the channel? I'm sure it had heart in the title. You need to excuse my memory. I mean, I'm open to looking at the maps, but as I say, how do we verify or falsify them? This is the bit that people are missing out. This is the point I was making. You know, that was the only issue I had with people. You know, if you're working on maps and models, then really the message to people should be, but, you know, in order for us to verify or falsify, we're going to need to have a full exploration. You know, sell it to people. It's exciting. You know, look at the stories they told you as a kid about Christopher Columbus and the exciting travels and the excitement of exploration, because that's really who we are in my nature. And if I look at my kids, you know, they're explorers. So if you can trigger that in people and get them excited about the, you know, new possibilities of discovery, I think they would be on board with it. Markovsky, I think the powers that be have given us an internet platform for various different platforms just to take it away when the time suits them. I don't know. A lot of this is too far gone now. You know, there's too much out there. That's what I said about this whole flat earth thing. It's too far gone. It's not, you know, it's not like they're trying to put it back in the bag. If anything, there's this illusion of a fight. They are not all evil. Nah, I don't know what evil really means, to be honest with you. No one's Fleur, thanks for reading my comments, Del. No worries. This is why I done this. And I was hoping people would want to come in for a chat, because, you know, it's not about one head taking control, you know, or prominent figures or any of this stuff. You know, for me, I would encourage every Joe Blogs just to put a video up there to say that they're there, and that they know the lie. And it's no leaders for me. You know, the leader should be the truth. You know, and we need to understand that language for dealing with objective truth. So that's my whole thing. I'm here to, you know, talk and open up to anything. Arwen, but the elite cultivate cowardice and apathy in their following. Yeah, that's what they want. They want to encourage it. You know, that's why they make a big deal about celebrities and stuff and idols. It puts people in that psychological state of, you know, inferior. Justin Sherwood, what made you come up with the decision that the flat earth is flat? Well, you know, it's not that I came up with the decision that it was flat. I tried to prove to myself that it was actually a globe that I believed I lived on. And unfortunately, you know, I found absolutely zero proof. And when I understood, you know, the separations of the divisions of science and what it actually really meant, and I applied that, I discovered that, you know, there is no way that it can be a globe. And flat, you know, as I've always stated, flat just means that it has to be able to contain the water. It could be, you know, we're in a concave sphere, you know, on a level plane. You know, there's so many different models that it could possibly be, but for, you know, it has to be able to contain the water. And that's just a fact of life, that, you know, that they have no way run about. They can try and come up with arguments and different stuff, but, you know, natural science is, you know, you make claims about reality, you prove it. So, and I'm not, that's the thing, I'm not set in knowing what it is. I'm just saying I don't know what it is. I know the possibilities of what it could be. Wake the Sheeple, hello all, I hope everyone is doing good. God bless. Cheers, Michael Lee. How you doing, man? Rock Vibrations, evening all, hope we are well. People are expected to lie, it has become a demand. Yeah. And this whole cult thing, as I say, you know, people's behaviours are stemming from the globe cult. The state, the emotional state and the frame of minds that people are in, for me, are because of the globe cult. You know, and there's cliques of people in every walk of life. That's just what people are like when they're in fear and uncertainty, you know. Where am I here? Dale, do you believe in the Big Bang Darwinism? No, you know, again, Rory, it's a claim. You know, I whittle everything down to, you know, what is the actual claim? You know, and it's this, oh, the bulbs just went, so I'm probably going to be in the dark now. I'll try this and see if it works. Anyway, if I'm in the dark, I'm in the dark, fuck it. So the Big Bang Darwinism, no, again, you know, what is each individual claim, and is it observable and repeatable? Because if it's reality, then it should be observable and repeatable. So no, Big Bang, no, fucking Jesuit priest nonsense. You know, Darwinism, parts of evolution, I think, are probably true. You know, we have the ability to adapt and maybe upgrade through will, necessity, whatever. But I think consciousness plays a role in that they try and they try and play down, you know, and leave it up to other mechanisms, where I don't think it is the case. I think will probably played a role in that. Mark Lower, you're confusing water finding its level. No, I don't think you look. Water can only be contained. It does not conform to the exterior of shapes. I'm not even going to go over this. You know, that's the physical behaviours. That's the, you know, nature. IAC 1844. Sorry, Dale, I am not talking about looking inward. I am talking about looking closer at the world. We're being led at the moment and are likely to end up in the same mess that we are in already. Cool. So, sorry if I misunderstood. I probably just went into a rant anyway. You know, that's it. Take a closer look at the world, you know, understand how things are operating. But as I say, I think, you know, the closer look at the world for me is the exploration. It's going, looking outward to see what else is there. Markovsky, they created a globe, in my opinion, because on a globe there is nowhere else to go. Everywhere you go brings you back to where you started, so no one looks anywhere else for anything. Exactly. It's a psychological blindfold. You know, and I was one of the people who never questioned it and couldn't see how that psychological blindfold was playing a role. Even in my reasoning and my philosophies and my logic, you know, played a role. As I say, I actually got to a point where I was starting to, nothing could made sense, you know, that the globe spinning in space. I was starting to really entertain materialism, like, you know, that, you know, it was just a chance happening, something that was inexplicable. But, you know, obviously that's just to disempower you. You know, that's pretty clear. So you know, as I've always said, you know, the globe is a blindfold. And as long as you think that's where you live, you won't question it. Rory McFizz, there's a reason for the question. Jade Rosdov, Marco, you say water bends at rest, meaning water is not flat and level when water is at rest. Please avoid idiotic ideas without providing proof. Exactly. You know, this is the thing. It's so simple. You know, if you take it with people and you say, look, you know, here is a small tub of water, there's a pot of water, there's a basin of water, there's a bathtub of water, there's a swimming pool, there's a lake, you know, so on and so forth. They somehow think that when you get to an ocean size that the physical laws start to change. You know, they don't change. You know, reality is reality. Water behaving like that is the same everywhere. You know, as I said before, when they show you these images of apparent, you know, zero G and water blobs, that's a controlled, contrived environment. That's not true to the actual natural world. It should be observable in the natural world. No excuses, you know, no equations, no drawings are going to, you know, account for that. Your claims must be observable, testable, and repeatable. End of story. So they can keep bashing their head off a wall, but these people are the ones that claim they're anti-science, you know, but they practice pseudoscience in a desperate attempt. You know, I think some of them it's just serious cognitive dissonance. It's quite scary, I think, for people to realise that, you know, that foundation, that thing that they thought their whole life was true is actually a lie. As I say, for me, I went through that emotional experience. I didn't just wake up one day and go, oh, yay, the globe's a lie and you know, it's this and it's that. No, I had serious emotional turmoil. So. Angle Raven 444, the truth is like a bitch slap or a bucket of cold water in the face. It certainly is. As I say, when I was a seeker, so, you know, although I believed I lived in a globe, when, you know, it came to my attention, I had to seriously look at it. Lone Zen Warrior, it's nice to see you, man. Not seen you around for a while. Hope all is well. And silent majority, what do you think about the 35-year ban on private vessels going to south to Antarctica? Well, I don't know about that. You know, I can start to play with ideas that they're just setting it up as a deception. They seem to be making a big deal about Antarctica at the minute. You know, I don't know if maybe, you know, a false revelation is going to come from there. Who knows? But you know, there seems to always be a big deal about Antarctica. You know, and I would, you know, pull back for that and look at the whole picture, not just Antarctica. You know, there'll be other places that are unknown. You just need to bear with me here, because I think, you know, the chat's going and I'm taking my time getting to the bottom of it here. Where was I? Fucking hell. I'm probably missing so much here. Right, fuck it, I'm just going to start here. Marco, low pressure's involved also. Look, all these fucking, you know, never mind pressure's involved in explanations, just show it. You know, it's very, very simple. If I told you I had a pink unicorn and you said, show me it, and then I started coming up with excuses, you wouldn't accept it, right? It doesn't matter how, you know, intellectual the excuses sound, it's still an excuse. Jenny Webb, would love to see a large-scale study of traits common to flat earthers. For me, I never worshipped those Hollywood idols you mentioned. A large-scale study of traits of common to flat earthers. I think it's just a study of traits common to people in this day and age. You know, it's this labelling of flat earthers. That was the issue I had with people like Jed. You know, it was always flat earth cultists, flat earthers drink pish, flat earthers this, when really it's just people. People drink pish, people smoke this, people smoke that. You know, people practice all different crazy things because they're in bewilderment. They don't fucking know what life's about. They don't know where they are. So what we're seeing is a large-scale study common to a world-scaled cult, and that's the fascinating part for me. You know, no people who are saying the Earth's flat. You know, because, you know, it's just people at the end of the day. Martin Lee Kane, what's the universe expanding into? Oh, fuck. I take it somebody's going on about the Big Bang, or the big expanse, or whatever it's called, or fucking nonsense. You know, and again, that's where it leaves natural science, because it's like, you know, me, you know, as we can go outside, we can observe, you know, a mountain, and then we start coming up with stories, so that the natural observation, that the natural science is the observation of the reality, you know, and then the debate parts and the religious parts start coming in when people start guessing at how it came to be. So, you know, all that, you know, the Big Bang and all that stuff, it's just fucking clutching at straws yet again. Orphan Red, what if knowing where we are doesn't provide further clues to our purpose here? What if there's more land inhabited by others as confused as us, or a dome we can't get out of to find who made it? Well, you know, I've got to be open to that being the possibility. But right now, you know, the situation we're in, I feel that that's the next step, is to discover exactly where we are, the full dimensions of that. And if we are stuck in here, then, you know, who knows what the future is from that. You know, it's all just, you know, I can only think steps at a time. And as I say, you know, I still philosophise about who I am, who we are, and how it came to be. But you know, I'm just at that point now where I'm past that. So, but I strongly feel that, you know, why would they lie in the first place? What is it they're hiding? You know, obviously there's a reason for that. So, and for me, it's probably something that would empower us. Rory McFizz, so do you believe we are from a creation? Of course. You know, I've always said that. You know, people confuse me for some reason. You know, as a construct. That, you know, my problem with creation is the same old fucking, you know, God, one mind created it. You know, I just can't get on board with that. You know, if that turns out to be true, then, you know, fair enough. But, you know, as a philosophy, for me, it just breaks down. So, of course, it's a creation. You know, I never doubted that. Even when I, you know, kind of believed it was a globe, you know, I still thought, nah, it's too complex. There's too, you know, and when I looked into evolution and some prominent names who were against the neo-Darwinian concept of evolution, you know, nah, it just didn't add up. There had to be mind at the start of it. So, Q and Fee, amazing that bulb, aye. Unsilent Majority, Dale, did you see that Buzz Aldrin recently went to Antarctica? He was evacuated out because he gets sick, but why was he even there? I guess he needs to go for the real final frontier. I was kind of looking at that. I went to his Twitter feed and I couldn't find an announcement. It just seemed to be all of a sudden, and then it was like a rush job. But recently, and I'm not sure of the validity of it, but apparently he's tweeted something along the lines of, you know, we are all doomed. There's some sort of evil in Antarctica, and posted pictures of a black pyramid. I'm not sure of the validity of any of that, to be honest with you. But as I said before, there seems to be a lot of attention in Antarctica. So I'm pretty sure something's going to come from there. Mark Allure, water is formless. You know, but it will take the shape of any container. Angle Raven 444, Anunnaki screwed with us circa 9500 BC. Well, that's the whole Zachariah Sitchin story, and as I've said before, you know, I'm open to the possibility. I'm open to the possibility that we're just some sort of technology that has become self-aware. You know, I've even entertained the thought that consciousness is the actual problem. Well, you know, why do we even contemplate? You know, maybe that's not supposed to be happening. Who knows? Often, Mark, I think something to take into account. We may not get our answers from exploration. We may not, but you know, it's a progressive step. What's the other option? The same old option is sitting still in the middle, and everybody at war with each other about their own subjective beliefs and wishes and hopes. You know, at least if we knew exactly where we were, you know, we would have a better, you know, foundation to look at it. And also, you know, cultures would change if you know, people really understand that it's a design and it's a creation that they're inside, then they might think differently. But the problems are going to come, you know, when people start pushing their religious ideas. Rory McPhis, how can ordinary people afford to put a voice together and explore? I don't know. You know, and I thought about this, and it was the same when I spoke about Matt Powell. And you know, for me, it just seems like a band of merry men going in one direction. You know, I don't know. I don't know. You know, that's why I say, you know, it needs to be military. It needs to be large scale. You know, that might be so far down the line, but I've got to still keep aiming for that. Marianne Sommer, you must have a poltergeist that put out your light. maybe, you know, conspiracy mystic, and our friends are sitting doing some sort of ritual and popped my light bulb. If you ask Quasi Luminous, I'm sure he'll confirm it. Uh, Marty just texts me, "You are sold nothing you choose to buy." That's, you know, that's something the two have always said. That was my whole point. You know, it's about showing people why they buy, and that it's their responsibility. You know, we can't go blaming anybody. It's time to take responsibility. So I'm just making myself a smoke here, and then I'm going to come back to the chat. And I'm still looking for anybody who wants to come in and have a chat about anything you like. Don't be shy. Don't be scared. Often read, no one's fair, but how do you prioritise? There's so much injustice. Where do you start? In your lifetime, you can maybe change a few, but not all. So where do you put your energy and time? Well, my energy and time would be going on, you know, helping people to understand how you critically think, you know, how to separate subjective from objective, understanding what natural science is, what formal science is, what social science is, you know, and really instill the tools that people require in order to analyse and address the world that they're in and the people that they're meeting, their interactions with each other. You know, that's for me where the progress will happen. Right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just drop this link into the chat, and if anybody wants to come on, they can. So how do I do this again? I'll go here, and it's this address, I'm pretty sure. As I say, anybody that comes in that starts any, you know, illogical stuff or making claims, then, you know, I'm going to have an issue. So Yeah, of course, Orphanage, you can join if you want. I've put the hangout, the link there. Anybody else who wants to join, you know, I would prefer it if it was one at a time. You know, because I'm sure we're all aware of how it goes when you see these hangouts with different people. Martin, you all right, mate? You hear me?
Yeah, man, good. Thanks, brother. Thanks for the invite.
All right.
Good to hear you, Dal. Thanks, mate.
What's happening? As I was just saying, Martin, you know, if anybody's coming in, I'm going to do it one at a time, mate.
Okay, I heard.
But, how are you?
Very well. Thanks for setting up a hangout. It's really good. I'm glad you're doing it. It's really good.
Yeah.
Honestly. Get your points out there live. And we can interact with you better. Even though the explosion of the light bulb. Good special effects you got going.
The energy I'm radiating, Martin.
That's what it is. It's all of us together. It is. I'm telling you. The light bulb couldn't handle it. But I'm 100% with you about disclosure, Del. It is what everyone should be concentrating on for the reality. And I'm completely with you on critical thought and, well, basically original thinking. Definitely. Yeah. But like, until that day, I just keep plugging it out in the interim period until everybody gets on board with what really needs to be happening, which is worldwide disclosure.
Well, that's definitely. It, mate. No, and you know, I get that, and I've said that about myself as well, mate. You know, it's a time now where it's like a waiting game for me.
I know.
And I get frustrated sometimes about how that time's filled. You know, I feel sometimes as if we could be contributing a bit better to people. And sometimes
a lot of shit happening. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and sometimes we, you know, we want to stay relevant and we want to be important and stuff. You know, and sometimes our incentives become kind of corrupted, if you like. But and I've done it myself, man. So.
It's just, I think if I don't punch myself out there, then I'm just going to fizzle off into a whimper and I'm not going to be heard. So I'm like just mouthy Del and I just punch it out there. That's me. But do you know, just now somebody was on about Antarctica. Well, yeah, this morning it came up on my Google. Buzz Aldrin had tweeted. Now, you know, they just jetted him up from Antarctica. He had a bad back or some such shit.
Yeah.
He tweeted pictures of his Antarctica base and next to it is a pyramid. So there's a series of photographs where he's disclosing, a bit like his UFO following the fucking Apollo mission. So he's like disclosing, this is what's really happening, a pyramid down there. So that's the seed you were just talking about that they're sowing.
Yeah, well,
in Antarctica, you're bang on.
And that's the thing, you know, I'm not sure about the validity of that supposed tweet. You know, I've made that clear. I'm not sure of the validity of it. So I know the tweet that you're talking about. I mean, he also said that, you know, apparently that, you know, we're doomed and there's evil itself. You know, and as I say, I could see that coming.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe the deception is, you know, the whole deception that there's an evil beyond our control, so we can't go there. That's why they lied. It could be anything like that. But you know,
I think it's a diversionary thing. I think if they keep us thinking about Antarctica and never mention the North, then the North, well, we won't think about much. And what's going on in the North, Del? Zip. Don't hear a word out of it, do you? Not a word.
I've always said that. I said that right from the beginning. You know, everybody was talking about Antarctica. You know, if you were going with the circular map, I would be more interested in what was at the centre. You know what I mean?
I am more interested. But you got Lawrence Wright in your chat now. As you know, he's a massive anti-Gleason's. But you know, every single Azimuth will show you the Arctic Ocean as a small body of water with an ice cap. That's not the reality. It's a fucking ocean. So it's the smallest ocean on Earth, they say, but it's an ocean. All Azimuth will show it around the size of, say, the Mediterranean, or you know, a large body of water, a sea, but certainly not an ocean. So for that, all Azimuthals are wrong for that.
Yeah.
Alone. They need to open it up somehow. I don't know how.
Well, as
missing.
That's it. But as I say, mate, you know, my point was that, you know, none of that was important for me.
I know.
Models. It was more about bringing people to the claim, which was the globe, making sure that there were an awareness that was the claim and that was to be focused on. And the reality after that is that we don't know where the fuck we are. So
I know. Or when we are, or what we are. It's all a mystery. And then bang on with you. It's like that. We're like children stumbling in the dark, you know, trying to find our way. Confusion. People get terrible. You know, some people get mental health problems with this. You know, Dal. I've noticed. Now, you know, I had Quasi on my show 2 nights ago. No, I brought him on so everyone can see exactly what he's like. And he didn't do absolutely anything that I didn't really expect to happen or want to happen.
Yeah.
That's why I sat and let him just do whatever it is that he does. If you know what I mean. But I know.
As I say, it's fine. It's fine saying to people, you know, I think there's a possibility of a way out of here. No, but then the rest of the claims are just fantastical.
Exactly. Not a blood pact.
And that's the whole thing. That to me is just about entertainment, to be fantastical and fucking relevant, you know.
Well, I tell you what, he's got like tens of thousands of fanatical followers, and a few of them came over to my site, and they are literally besotted with this man. Yeah. They're fanatical. He's like everything to him I couldn't believe, you know. It's a similar way to some of the people of Lord Stephen Christ, a bit similar to some of his people. You know, they really revere him, and I find that unusual for what he gives out, you know, because he doesn't exude love, does he? So I don't know.
That's just another part of the fucking game.
Yeah,
you know, that whole concave thing. As I said before, there could be truth in every single model that's put out there. The concave thing, the water up the walls and us up the wall, it's just fucking ridiculous.
It's fucking pathetic. I know. I can't get my head around water inverting up. Anyway, you know, it's flat.
If the globe can't give us reproducible facts, you know, then concave can't give us the same. You know, the two of them are rubbish as far as I'm concerned. You know, but I have stated, you know, we live in pressure, so it would suggest to me that we're in some sort of contained unit. You know, and what the full dimensions of that are, who knows? It could be a sphere. You know.
On a larger scale.
I don't know, you know.
Where you can't pick up on the curve, yeah.
No. We're not on the outside of the sphere. No, we're on the inside. We could be on the inside. Yeah.
Hey, but guys.
But on a flat.
Hi, Owen.
Hey, hello, Martin.
Hi, brother.
Hey. Hey, what is your name, dude? Beyond. What is your name?
Just call me Dale, man.
Sorry?
Dale.
Dale.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Hey, anyway, but there is still some kind of a point to the concave model. Like, I'm not saying this is absolute reality because there is no curvature one way or the other. But there, like, have you heard of this? That the South Pole ring will actually be smaller than would fit the entire content of the world's continents, as it were. It wouldn't fit. So, and that kind of gives this nudge into thinking like, yeah, then maybe it may be tighter up there because it's slightly concave. But it's just one angle. I'm not saying that it makes that true, but you know.
Yeah.
But the whole problem I think is that it's all flat, but
it's flat.
But the entire shape, it's just surreal. It's just not linear. So you get this weird dense land at the north where there's much more that should fit, and at the south things seem to get smaller. So yeah, what is that? It's not round, it's not any literal shape. The only literal shape it is flat, but how it is laid out,
full dimensions, that's the thing. The full dimensions,
people cannot get this through into their head. They will reject it because it's too much. So
they need certainty. People require certainty.
They require some level of simplism because otherwise it will just confuse.
Well, they're used to being fed the full picture. You know, there's the whole earth there. You know, you can see the whole thing, so they expect the same when it comes to this. You know, they need to accept the reality that none of us know, and that it's okay to be in that position. You know.
There may be more weird things about it that we don't even realize about, because what if like the density of the land or the shape may change every now and then? Then there would be even less like understanding, like why, how can that happen, that kind of stuff. So, you know, there's so many layers. You don't know where the craziness will end of it.
Well, that's it.
There's more to come out. Don't worry.
But it's
Del, did I hear you say your father was a ship's captain, Del?
mine.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, I thought you say that. Oh, right.
No.
I was out the kitchen trying to hear you say. I was making a cuppa. I thought I heard you say that.
My grandfather was a prisoner of war here. He was an engineer.
Really?
He was an engineer on ships. Yeah.
Right. See.
Aye,
Oh, right.
so-
What POW was he? Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Oh, with the Japs, is it? Or
No,
Germans?
he was German.
Oh, fucking safer then.
My granny was Austrian. She was here with the Red Cross. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That was interesting. Fucking hell, mate.
So anyway, you know, as I say, I was hoping to like kind of one at a time and give people a chance to make points. Or, you know,
Listen, I'll bounce out and Orphan Red can come in. Or
Yeah,
one
I'm
of them
all
have,
done.
you know, I just don't want it to descend into the usual
Yeah,
chit chat.
anyway,
I'd like people to have a chance
God
to
bless you.
talk about anything they want. So it's you know,
I'll be good.
You're fine. No, I'll bounce give someone else a chance still, I will. There's plenty in chat who'd love to come in. I know there is.
yeah. Do they know that the link's there? I don't need to go and check again. Maybe I'll need to post the
Yeah.
link.
You didn't delete it. It should be there.
Right. Okay. Cool.
I know Orphan wanted to pop in. God bless you, Dal. You're doing a cracking job, brother. Thanks
cheers,
for doing
bro.
this.
Any bother, man.
God bless you, bro.
It's really an interesting hangout so far. Except
Yes.
it's a little dark.
Yeah, I know. I had a light bulb popping on me, so I'm going to try and just put this other one in and see if it's all right. Bear with me 2 seconds. No, it's a fucking fuse. You still there? No.
Yeah, I'm here.
Aye. So I'm not sure I've met you before. Is it Arwen?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and
No,
you.
I don't know you from. Yeah, that's why I asked you. Like, hey, who are you? You know, I just got
Yeah,
this
well,
link from Skype,
So
and yeah, it was interesting.
sorry, can you see me a bit better now?
Your video is turned off for the moment.
The video's off. Should be on.
Oh wait, yeah, it's back.
So you know that the Earth's not a globe. Then I take it I don't even know your channel. Sorry.
I just have a couple of hangouts. It's just like this, like talking up and forth.
Cool. Where are we? Sorry, I'm just going to check the chat here. So, I mean, you can say anything you want, man. Talk about whatever you like.
Oh well, yeah, it's just the usual stuff, I guess. The usual stuff. Yeah, because there's some other more occult stuff, but I'm not gonna bring that all up again.
Well, you know, you can say whatever you like.
Yeah.
So I'm just having a look here. She got helicopters now, still dark. It should be a bit better now, I was hoping.
Yeah, you're slightly more visible now.
Cool.
Hey, Martin's out.
Amanda, I'm interested in what you have to say, Dale, not what you look like. Cheers. Right. That's all right, mate. I got a light. Thanks. Right, cheers, man. Cheers, mate. My neighbour kindly bringing me a light there.
Ah, awesome.
So,
Yeah, so yeah, you believe in flat Earth, I guess, or how would you like to describe it?
no, I don't. I kind of try and describe myself as not having any beliefs.
You're one of them.
Well, my only claim is that, you know, whatever the full dimensions, it has to be able to contain the water. You know, and I can say that through testing and observation. So
Yeah, definitely. The law of buoyancy, it's one of the real ones.
yeah.
So, but what do you think about the architectural physical flat Earth model with a firmament versus the more, I guess, holographic natured 3D world, which could probably be looping and that way contain air?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I tend to lean towards a more mechanical structure type thing. You know, I think it's a construct and it exists in a larger environment, just like any other construct does. So I think there's, you know, definite physical features to it that can be explored and found. I don't think it gets to a point where it becomes, you know, as I've said before, you know, are people imagining that you get to the outer boundaries and it's being projected in from some other dimension? That, you know, I just don't see that. You know, I see an actual.
That's what I've been saying.
Well, you think it's being projected from some other dimension?
Now I think that the sky, what we see, the stars, the moon, and the sun are all projected in from the fifth dimension. That's
Right.
what I'm saying, and it's always relative to our position. It's holographic to us because it's always at the horizon, like at the sphere of the horizon, and we never get up close, like really, yeah, we never get to touch anything, as it were.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's probably that we are in a three-dimensional realm, as it were, like dimmed down in our senses, and the actual reality is more, or at least as a starting point, is a fifth dimension. And there might be a firmament over there. So it might be literal over there, but I think that in our realm, in our state of existence, we can't reach it. We can't get to the dome because we just loop to the other side. Even if
Well, maybe
not, yeah, maybe the north there might be something different, but at least to all the others,
well,
I
you
don't
know, I've entertained that notion. You know, maybe that we discovered that reality that we were trapped here, and that it caused panic or something to happen. And you know, there was a push to keep that from ever happening again. But you know, in my gut, I feel that that's just not true. I feel that there's something more to be discovered.
Yeah, we want to discover it. It's like our innocent nature. We want to explore more. We've been conditioned to do this, but if we were lifted out of the fifth dimension, into the fifth dimension, as I have experienced, yeah, that's what I've been telling people, and it is true. Like, yeah, that's how I think it happened, through drug-induced experience where I wasn't actually aware what it was. So it was pretty extreme to me. But it was like you get lifted out of your body, and suddenly, yeah, you get to see everything.
But see what I'm hearing with that kind of thing is that something else is in control, you know, and I'm not really keen on that.
They say, the people that I've been talking to there in that world, as it were, they tell me that it's our decision. It's like a collective thing we're doing, like a project to get to know certain elements that we can't experience if we are in the know of everything, because we are actually. See?
Yeah.
And we are doing this on purpose. And it's also why so many people get stuck on a level. They just get stuck there because they feel if they go actually and fix themselves, that they wouldn't be doing the thing that they're there for. Yeah, maybe this sounds really silly, but yeah, that's.
I kind of get, you know, it's something along the lines of like philosophies that I've played with, that, you know, this is some sort of technology that we're just playing with. You know, I don't know if that's kind of along the lines of what you're trying to say.
Yeah, like a hologram. It's like
but
we're there. Maybe we're even less people, and we're all reflections of each other. Like
Yeah.
maybe it's like a group. I don't know. I don't. Yeah, it
You know,
was very surreal.
this is the realms of philosophy. You know, this is one of my points. You know, this can cascade into so many rabbit holes and avenues of thought and contemplation. You know, and trust me, man. I've, you know, like yourself, I've been there. You know, and I just feel as if a lot of that's deliberate. You know, the whole game was to keep us from exploring, to stay still. So for me, I just feel like that there is certain definite structure to be discovered and explored. You know.
Yeah, I agree with that, because what I did experience during my experiences, it was that I was being shown often at times when I was accompanied by someone. It showed me a very grim image of everything. Like everything was very negative in a way. It was, yeah, like mean spirited, and everyone was just being shameless, and like people even that I've seen throughout the entire flat earth scene. And they're all like, when I'm seeing them back now, it's like, wow, these guys are really great. They're awesome. But
Yeah.
when I was in the vision, often everyone was like unnecessarily grim or something. It was very weird. You get to see unusual things when you're in the fifth dimension. Like
You're talking about you know, a subjective experience. Are you talking about this under the influence of some sort of drug?
yeah, that I don't know for sure that it was some kind of drug. What I think it was a cacti of some kind. It was a sort of transparent, semi-transparent, whitish goo. And it tasted very bitter, if I remember correctly. And as soon as you touch it, you feel like you're falling back, and everything becomes really broad, and then you snap into a vision or something.
See, but that's my issue. You know, a lot of that stuff's subjective. You know,
This is just how I remember it, because the weird thing is, it was so overwhelming to me that, especially because I've experienced it even when I was really young by accident, because I was just a really naughty kid. I was getting myself into trouble, and yeah.
I know, but this is the thing, man. You know, as I say, we can cascade into, you know, our subjective experiences and what we think they mean, and you know, and I totally get you, man. But for me, that's no the answers are not there.
At the time, but right now, after all this time, I'm starting to figure out what really happened. Like, because it was too much for me to understand back then. But
Yeah.
right now, I'm like older and wiser, and I've matured much. I learned much of the world and how to behave better. Like where I made mistakes, where I went wrong. And because of all this extra
But
knowledge,
where are you gauging that from? See, when you say you made mistakes, and you know, I mean,
I was I was bad. Not horrible, I guess, but I was bad. I was among evil people. I dealt with Jesuits.
Can I stop you? Can I stop you, please, man? Because this is where it, you know, it starts to get confusing.
All right.
We need to slow the conversations down, because we just automatically jump into saying things like good, bad, evil, you know, and none of that has really ever been established. What is evil? What is good?
Cruel
what is bad?
People.
Where do we gauge any of this from? You know,
cruelty.
Yeah, but you know, that's
dehumanization.
But how's it dehumanization? Because there's humans who get off on that kind of behaviour. So, you know, that doesn't really add up for me. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's just things that happened, that the people that I ran into, and I always kind of had this tendency to go towards the people that are outsiders. So, yeah. I guess it was meant to be that I would bump in these type of people and then think that, yeah, you know, I can handle that or whatever, because I was pretty arrogant back then. I was like a pretty radical lefty in my times.
Yeah.
Until I discovered that, like, oh yeah, the ones in control are actually total maniacs.
Yeah.
So, and then I thought, no, you know what? I don't want it like that.
The ones in control, total maniacs, or is it the people who are in a state of apathy and ignorance who are allowing it and
But
partaking
they're
in it.
also extremely smart.
Well,
and
we can't, you know, we can't keep blaming external sources. At some point, you have to start taking responsibility as the individual, you know. And as I've said before, people are sold nothing, you know, they buy it. So, you know, this whole game for me is not about blaming somebody and pointing the finger at an external bad guy. You know, we need to understand what's actually happening. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it, but
See, you know, because you were starting to say, like, you know, these evil doers and these good doers, and I don't have a gauge for any of that. You know, I can only go, you know, by who I am and what my preferences are and how I conduct myself, but I could never say, you know, their actions are this. You know, what am I judging it on? What, you know, I would have to be claiming that I had.
I feel my intuition on just common sense.
Well, I know.
We're trying to win it back, you know. It's just,
yeah. Well,
I'm censoring myself deliberately on what the things that I've seen, because I don't think that should be talked about in public, and I don't want to get anyone on my back or anything. But it's just nasty stuff.
yeah.
These people are nuts, and we all just want to believe that everything is exactly like we think it is. Like we're used to deal with the people that we are used to deal with, and it's on that level. We always think that, but there are some groups out there that just go so extremely far into insanity. You can't believe this,
Yeah.
and we don't want to know. And that is what I discovered.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, many of them have strong ties really up there, like people in control, because that's often a driving force, a lust for power among these people. And it's just there. And yeah, we need to deal with it. And we have the opportunity now because the tides are turning. People are done with rudeness, with stupidity, with just all that shit, and with all the nonsense, pointing fingers, obvious false accusations.
Yeah.
That stuff. They're done with it.
That's it. So it's about critical thought and using logic and reason there. You know, at the time, the fairy tales and subjective experiences, it's, you know, I don't really have time for it anymore. So,
hey, Martin's back.
Aye, but thanks, Arwen. I appreciate your time, man. And
yes, I'll leave you. Okay.
No bother, buddy. Take care.
Yeah, you too, man.
Cheers, man.
And nice talking.
Thanks.
Yo.
Anybody else want to join? Oh, Martin.
I am back by popular demand. They just asked me in chat. You
All
okay,
right,
brother?
I've not been able to keep up with the chat, obviously, because I've got.
Oh, it's been fine, bro. Swimming along. It's been really sweet. It's really nice chat. It's cool, mate. Honestly, you've got loads in chat. It's really cool. Thanks.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. So, oh, look what you got. I bounced. Listen, Del, what you got in mind for the future with this, brother? Any ideas, mate? For getting this.
I've got a couple of ideas for things to go in the street with. So
yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I'm like as well.
I'm just going to keep up with the methods that I've been using so far, mate. You know, it's just plodding on.
Yeah, even your comedy ones are fucking hilarious. When you had them goggles and you played that doctor at the back in the summer, I swear to God, I was crying. Where the fucking hell did you get a pair like that with a spike sticking out?
Marty's got an eBay. Marty's got an eBay habit. He can't help.
Oh yeah.
So he picks up these cool wee props and stuff. So they belong to Marty, but I'm making them famous.
Have you ever seen his face, Marty? You've seen his hands?
No, you know, see Marty's face in camera. He came to the wee meeting thing, the Scottish meeting. So
yeah, where was that, Del? Did many turn up? How did it go?
There was quite a few turned up, mate. People were good, having chat. I left once the drinking stuff started to flow because I'm not a drinker. So
not me, mate. I do exactly the same.
I've not had a chance to catch up with Marty or any of the rest of them to see what happened, or how it went, the night went. But you can imagine Yeah.
I can imagine. Did you film any of this, Del? Is any of it getting posted of the, or is anybody of the meet?
No, I think we're going to do it again. Yeah.
All right. I would have loved to been able to go, but it's so far away. Holland's closer to me than Scotland. Tell.
That's the beauty of this type of thing, though. You know, people can come
it
to
is.
this. So
It is.
good.
Yeah. Often Red's going to come in later, but she said she was doing an update and it stopped the camera because it does. It stops your camera when you're having forced updates, which I hate that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm thinking of getting out into the public in the spring, sort of taking a presentation, explaining our, you know, how we believe it works, basically the azimuthal and the rest. And it's not a globe. Explain the water doesn't run off the edge and this sort of thing with maybe a microphone, a loudspeaker. If it works on the internet, it might work out in the street, Del. I might get a little crowd going. I don't care. I'll just do it. And I'll get somebody to film it and I'll post it as well. That's what I'm thinking.
So what, you using the azimuthal just as a reference, but
as a reference frame, but obviously I'll just say this is generalized. This is not fact, but this is how it works. Round the outside, we believe there's an ice ring.
well, that's the important bit. It's just articulating it to people that, you know, it's not a claim to, you know, the reality. It's just something that you're using as a reference.
What worked for us, Del? You know, because I got to be honest, first time I set my eyes on that azimuthal, because I had never had nothing to replace the globe with. As soon as I seen an azimuthal equidistant, all of it just fell into place. Wow. Yeah. I get it. It's fanning out that way. And here she is now.
All right.
Sophon.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be quiet. Hi, Sash.
Hi.
Oh, yeah, you all right?
Yeah.
Good to see you, sweetie.
I'm hearing people talk. Sorry, I have you open in the other window, and I'm
What's
hearing everything out of loop.
Some bloody updates it is, Sasha. It does you in.
Sorry, Del, I'll hang up and I'll wait till you're done with your current guest.
No, that's fine,
and I can come back.
No, you're all right. Martin's been on. He's just having another shot.
Okay. I miss a whole bunch because I tried to set up my laptop and it just is forever installing updates. And
yeah.
So, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Good. Yeah.
I'm really interested in the perspective that you're taking on all of this. And I think there are some points of agreement between us, but there are a lot of points of disagreement. Yeah. And so I just thought it'd be nice to talk.
Go.
I'm just going to set this up so that I can see what I'm doing. Talk amongst yourselves while I set this up.
It's only me and you here, so yeah.
Yeah.
So what was your points?
Well, okay, so one of the things that I like is that you're really stressing this idea that people do have to start thinking critically, not just globe believers, but flat earthers themselves, because I see that as a really big problem as well, that there is an element of the flat earth community that are just as devoid of critical thinking skills as the normal globe believer. And I think that they're not helping at all in what we're trying to do, which is get to more truth. I think it just creates more and more avenues of fantasy that might be fulfilling fantasy and might be purposeful fantasy, but at the end of the day, it's still a fantasy. And I don't know that going down those branches helps us get further towards finding a truth. And the problem that I see with that is that sometimes those fantasies, because they're fantasies, they can be easily corrupted and twisted to different aims. And so they can go awry really easily. They can be used to manipulate people, to tell people, well, you should do this because you believe this and this is the truth. And so that's where I'm very much in agreement with you. As for the idea that the only way to find out the purpose of this is by exploring, it seems to me that this is a designed environment, but that the designer is either absent or it's part of the design that there isn't more information given to us. Yeah. And so if it's part of the design that we don't get to know that this is a designed space, then I suspect that even if we explore, either we'll hit a wall, the dome or whatever, or we'll just hit other puddles of people that are trying to figure it out like we are. And maybe they'll say we have the truth in the same way that if they come here and they happened into the Vatican will tell them that they have the truth. So I would just be worried that we'd end up in some other religious community. And then, like, if it's a dome, then that's it. Then that's your answer. Okay, it's a dome, but that doesn't help you decide what's your purpose here. How do you live a good life? How do you live a right life? What decisions are you making? So I think for people who are looking for answers about how to live, I think
the goal, I mean, if I've said that before, you know, if we were stuck here, then, you know, for me, the golden rule, it's the most simplest logical thing, you know, and that's the separation. You know, as long as I'm not imposing on your free will and you don't impose on my free will, then, you know, everything goes.
Well, no, but like, for example, if you're abusing me, and if I've been raised by abusers and I think that that's normal and I think that's the only thing I can expect, or I think that I don't deserve any better, and so I can be a consenting adult and say, yes, you can abuse me because that's all I'm worth. But so someone, like, that's me consenting to you abusing me, but is that really the way?
No, because
is that really the best for me and for you for our development?
Well,
I don't think it is.
Well, that takes me back to the cultural. You know, you're talking about a situation that's stemming from, you know, the culture and the way of life that we have just now, the situations that, you know, we're in. I don't know.
Like, I think you're also, this is another thing I disagree with you. I think you give the average person too much credit. I think that there are a lot of people out there that don't seem to want to take responsibility for their choices. They would rather have someone else tell them what's right and wrong so that they don't have to be responsible. So if they do something that they kind of know is wrong, but they can say, oh, well, so-and-so said that it's okay. That's what they're looking for. And so I think the choice is, knowing that, do we then say, okay, if a large percentage of people just want us to tell them what's right and wrong so that they can just live their lives according to those rules, then should we do that, but give them our rules instead of giving them the Vatican's rules or the Luciferian rules? Should we decide, okay, we're going to set up our own system of ethics and beliefs and we're going to start spreading that because that would be better than what we have now? I don't know. I'm not saying that I believe that, but I'm just asking you, is that something that you would be on board with? Or
I don't know. I mean, I get you, you know, I do get it that people, just seems to be people who want to be led, who want to just live in ignorance. I don't know if that's a result of the cultural programming that's gone before, though, you know, or if that is just a natural state of people. You know, it's hard to get a gauge. You know, we don't live long enough to be able to gauge it over a long. You know, it's so difficult, and it's such a complex question. So, you know, personally, in my experience, the most simple and logical thing I can come to is, you know, well, if I'm living here, you know, I kind of try and abide by the golden rule. You know, I treat people the way I want to be treated. You know,
what if you have less emotional life than I do? So what if your emotions are very blunted? So you know how some people are rude because it's hard to hurt their feelings, so they think everyone is like them. So they're mean to people because they don't realize I'm very sensitive. So if you treat me the way you want to be treated, you're probably going to hurt my feelings constantly, which is going to make my life miserable. So I don't want you to treat me like you want to be treated.
Yeah, but that would suggest that, you know, we would be forced to live together in a situation. Do you know what I mean? I mean,
but we are.
Yeah, I know that. You know, so you know, that's why I don't go to like pubs. I'm not a very sociable person. You know, I don't get involved in loads of groups because there's so many of these complex issues. You know, I tend to just kind of stay myself, a kind of loner, and no engage in it. You know what I mean? So I find my place. You know, if something's offending me or affecting me, I don't partake in it. Do you know what I mean? Nobody forces me. You know, if I don't go on with you or there's something about you that we clash, you know, nobody's going to force me to be involved with you.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
But there's always a hierarchy. There's always a power structure, and so.
But you're talking about, like, you know, I would have to be physically imposing on you, And for me, that's when it's a step over the line.
No,
You know
but
what I mean?
if I need help from you and you're the only person around me that can help me,
Yeah.
then I need to get along with you. So I either need to accept your abuse or I need to change in order to. I'm not saying you abuse. I should word that. This is hypothetical.
I know.
But like, I would either have to accept the abuse of that person, or I would have to change myself, who I am, in order to accommodate them. And so, and you know, I'm not saying that there are answers here, but this is why I like some of what you talk about, because I think these things are more complex. And one of the problems I see in flat earth is that people want everything simple.
Yeah.
It's flat, so there. Well, okay, that's really nice, but that doesn't address the issues. And so to raise awareness of flat earth, you can have bumper stickers, but at some point we do have to start talking about the more complex aspects of it, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like you're trying to do, and I don't know if you're getting the response that you want.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I'm trying to dig deeper and actually get to the roots of it. You know, that's always been my goal. And that, you know, I've always been analytical of people and, you know, situations, relationships. So that's just where my, you know, my kind of purpose, if you like, lies with us. So that's where I'm trying to get to, you know. But it's a complex thing, you know, and you know, I try and separate it. You know, it's all very well, you know, if I'm saying things that offend you, then, you know, sticks and stones. You know, there's levels and varying degrees of situations. You know, if you're in an abusive situation, then, you know, it's another complex situation. You know, as you were saying, it's hypothetical. So,
and the idea that words can hurt. If you look at children that are bullied, if you look at them as adults, the bullying changes their personality, and it makes them more anxious as adults. It makes them more susceptible to stress-related illnesses, and they're less likely to be in long-lasting relationships. Their marriages are more likely to fail. So the idea that you can say whatever you want to people and that there are no real ramifications, that's not true.
No. In this situation that we're in just now, no, obviously, of course, because we have these scenarios, you know, I'm talking about ideally. You know, when I talk about that, maybe I don't phrase it well enough, you know. In my ideal situation, this is the way it would be. But what you're saying is, you know, if I was to address that situation, you know, somebody being bullied, it's because there's no guidance around them. You know, we don't openly discuss these types of behaviour, how to deal with them. You know, even in a school situation, they're not teaching you logic, they're not teaching you critical thought. They leave you in an emotional state. So emotional bullies are running the show because, you know, there is no guidance for people, and it just is. It seems to be the natural order that the bully runs the show, and they have no, you know. So.
But do you think, when you look at people, do you think that sometimes I wonder if everyone is, I don't know, sometimes I look around and I think, is everyone capable of critical thinking? Or are there some people that aren't capable of it? And that's why we have these religions to cater to them, because they can't for whatever reason. And so we just have to tell them what to believe. Not we as in you and I, but, and I'm not saying this is right or good or ideal, but I'm just asking, is this a possibility for why things have come to this, right?
How do we know if it's never given a chance? If you were taking children to school from that young age and you were teaching them this stuff, then I kind of think that you would have critical thinkers. I think it's a matter of nurture. You know, they seem to be stifling and doing the opposite of nurture. You know, so who knows? If you put the right structure in place to nurture and give people these skills, then you could have a nation of critical thinkers. Who knows? But
why don't we? Why don't we anywhere on Earth? We don't, like, I don't see a single country, and we all have different approaches, and we all have different testosterone levels, and we all have different kind of, you know. But like, I don't see a single place where there's really a strong nation of critical thinkers.
Yeah.
Maybe Norway, but then look, Norway just came out with terabytes of child porn, so I don't even know.
I know.
Nation, little fingers.
Yeah.
Maybe Norway.
Getting
But then
feedback.
look, Norway just came out with. Oh, we have someone echoing. So I
Don't
don't
somebody-
know.
Hang on.
Should I go?
No. Sorry.
I talk a lot. I'm so sorry.
As talk, can you mute your, how do I mute that?
You have to mute your other tab with your YouTube in it, your chat window in it.
I think that's it. So, yeah, but that's can you still hear me okay, yeah?
I can, but I can't hear the other guy.
Yeah. This
Also,
is it.
I can't see chat, so if people are saying that I'm saying terrible things, I don't know that you're saying I'm saying terrible things. Sorry.
No, it's not terrible things, it's discussion. You know, nobody's perfect and nobody is a guru, nobody has the answers. This is the point. You know, it was the same thing when I spoke about, you know, Levian Satanism and encouraged people to read the content for themselves. You know, it's like you're not allowed to talk about certain subjects. You're not allowed to say you don't know. You're not allowed to discuss and throw ideas out there. You know, people have a real issue. You know, all this is a discussion, and it's good because it stimulates thought. It takes what I've been saying a bit deeper, you know, because it is such a complex issue that, you know, we're dealing with.
And that's all I'm hoping that comes through, that I'm not saying I think this or I think people can't apply critical thinking. I'm just saying I just want to explore these possibilities, because what are the consequences of that and what do we do about it, right?
Yeah, that's it. And as I say, you know, we're basing things from being born in this captive culture. You know, we have no real trace to the true history and how things really occurred before and how people and civilizations thought. Although there seems to be some hints that they were pretty far advanced in their critical skills. You know, who knows? But you know, we're basing things from this point that we're at this moment in time, and for me, this is a contrivance. So it's hard to get a real scope and a real picture. You know, but I totally agree with you that it is a complex issue, and I appreciate that you know, questioning.
And I think that here's what I would expect at the very least, and this is what I don't see in the Flat Earth community. Everyone in the Flat Earth acknowledges that in order for a system such as this one to exist, it does imply a designer. And, you know, people respond to that in different ways. Like Mark thinks that if people know someone's watching, they're going to behave better. And that's why he wants people to know that there's a flat earth. I kind of think, to me, it's not knowing that the creator is watching me that makes me better. I actually just want to be a better person, full stop.
Yeah.
But what I see in the flat earth community is I see people behaving atrociously towards each other. And so it makes me realize that even if you understand that this is a designed environment that's created by something, or it doesn't make people behave better. It doesn't make people love each other more.
No.
And so I think that we shouldn't use that as the goal. Like, oh, we need to spread flat earth truth because then everyone will be nice to each other. Well, that's demonstrably not true because we're not nice to each other in the community. No. So let's figure out what the real goal is. Is it to find the purpose of our lives? And if that's the truth, if we're looking for purpose, then I think that changes how we deal with flat earth, right?
Yeah, that's it. You know, it's just a matter that you're spot on with that. You know, totally spot on.
So I would like to see everybody be nicer, but not because someone's watching them, not because they're the creator. Just be a good person.
Well, that's the whole thing about being a good person for me. You know, although there is a creation or a design, you know, I don't think everybody has to be good or everybody has to be bad. There might just be an equal balance of, you know, diversity and all possible personalities, and you know, and I don't think it's about one taking control of the rest. I think it's just a matter of understanding we're placed with each other. Do you know what I mean? Well,
do we not have to control the baddies though? Like all this stuff that's coming out about the pedophiles that are abusing these children.
Yeah.
These are human beings that for whatever reason are engaging in these practices. And whether it's a thing among the elites or whether it's just something the poor people do in small places in I don't know where, we do know that children are being abused.
Yeah.
So to me, it seems like I do want the power to say, you guys cannot do that anymore to protect the children. And so I don't want this idea that we should just all be free to do what we want.
No, well, that's
it gets complicated.
Well, that's what for me, that's what law would have been about in the first place. If people are committing crimes like they're imposing on another's free will and committing atrocities like that towards children, they should be dealt with. As far as I'm concerned, locked up forever. So I totally agree with you there, but that ties into what I'm saying about the golden rule, and obviously, basing it on that, you can see the steps of the structure that it should have been there to represent, police and that part of the system. It was for, if I cause you loss, harm or injury, that's the go-to. That's where the justice should be coming. That's why we should have investigators and people who investigate real crime. But what we see nowadays is a business and a push to collect revenue rather than real crime.
Do you think that people in the flat earth community, do we exhibit a higher standard of ethics, morality, of helping each other, maybe less looking to take advantage of each other? Or do you see that there's no difference in the flat earth community than in the standard society?
No difference. I think people are just people. And we're still in this situation, and a lot of the mindsets are still based from that situation. So, the behaviours for me are just the same. And as it gets popular and it starts to spread, you see the ugly side of people's ego. So and again, it's a whole complex situation. But
I think that we could do I think that the flat earth has the potential to do a lot of good.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of that potential is being wasted right now because, like you say, maybe it's because of ego, or maybe it's because people are in it for the wrong reasons. I don't know, but I feel like we could really take this momentum and change things for the better, but instead we're not. And I'm trying to figure out, why aren't we? And I'm having a hard time figuring that out. That's
what I'm trying to figure out, and I've always been trying to put the tools out there in order to recognise where I see it happening, and that's it. We have this opportunity, and it is happening. I mean, look what's happening right now. People can have discussion and open things up, and clear the air with certain things, and discussion's good. It takes us further. So I think there is good aspects, and it's just a matter of us that really want to take it and have that truth playing a role and pushing,
And maybe introducing it. Maybe we need to start writing children's books or making videos for children, because I think that you're right, that in adults that are already formed, it's really hard to undo the programming. But for children, if you can kind of give them this idea, it might be something that allows how they develop maybe in a better way. Maybe that's the direction we should take the flat earth a little bit.
Exactly. I said that right. If you go back right to the start, I said, look, we can employ the same tools that these manipulators use for their ends, and we can use these same tools to manipulate or nurture. You can look at it as manipulation, but it's really nurture as far as I'm concerned, because you're trying to give them tools, the ability to think for themselves, So that's it.
So let's start writing children's books. Before I go, can you tell me, because I can't see chat, because if I try to open it up, it just ruins everything. What are people in chat saying about this? I'm a little bit afraid. I'm so opinionated, but it all comes from a good place, you guys.
Oh, there's so much going on.
Death threats.
It just looks as if people are having discussion, to be honest with you. There doesn't seem to be
related to what we're talking about.
That's it. So it's all good.
So children's books then, are we gonna get together and get artists together with writers and book publishing people?
Everybody to their own avenue, you know. Whoever's good at children's books, somebody's good at comedies, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Employ all the tools that are used, you know, today, and use it for our own ends, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, well, this is great. I said a lot, and now I'm going to sit back and listen.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Hopefully speak again soon.
Definitely, I'd like that.
Thanks, man.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Right. So we'll go to chat. I don't know how much longer I'm going to keep this up for. If anybody else wants to jump in, you know, and still have a chat, I'll paste that thing again. But thanks to Orphan Red, that was a good chat. That's exactly what I was looking for. It's not hard, you know. People can discuss and have a wee bit of progression. And rather than just calling people names, look at their content and look at their intent and what they're actually saying. Martin, I've said that, Martin. I'm just going to make myself a smoke. If anybody wants to join me, let me know. Failing that, I'll have a wee quick read at some of the comments, and then I'll probably call it a day if nobody else is wanting any discussion.
Hey, welcome back.
Hello.
Hey, that was nice.
Was it Arwin again?
Yeah.
Hi, man.
I thought if
What's happening?
somebody's gonna take the place, I'll do it.
Yeah, well, if you get something relevant to say, I'm not. It's not really about, you know, just filling the slot. So.
Yeah, I can see you rolling one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of doing that myself in my own way. But I don't use tobacco.
Angela, Raven, I'll get another light. You know, I will sort it out.
So what do you think that we're gonna find on the other side of the South Pole?
Who knows?
To get there? Because we will get there at some point, I'm pretty sure of it.
Well, who knows what's there? Could be anything.
Would it be a rocky waste, frozen waste? Or is it gonna be like a giant jungle?
Who knows?
Or maybe there's even maybe there could be giant trees still left over there.
Well, there could be anything, mate. I have my suspicions. You know, the fact that we live in a pressurized system would tell me that, you know, there's probably some sort of solid boundary. You know, whether there's inlets and outlets to that solid boundary, who knows? But in my thinking and my logic, you know, if anything's constructed, it has to be existing in a larger environment. So that for me, there's probably, you know, something beyond the walls of this construct.
Yeah, but hold on. My theory would still work with that, because if it's just looping, you know, if the dimensions are finite, then it could just work. Everything would work. The pressure would work. The law of buoyancy would just keep it pressurized, and whatever air is out there would be out there. It would keep itself in place.
But can you show me an example of what you're talking about? Can you
A holographic environment. Just think a computer game. You go in one way, you go to the west, you end up at the east. You go to the north, you eventually end up at the south, but it's all flat. So it's just looping. And if those dimensions of our 3D realm are finite, then also the air would just have a finite space to be contained in. It would not have to be a physical dome to keep it in with an endless space or whatever is out there. It would just be basically a giant tube upwards into the endless void up there. It's very weird.
It's a hypothetical, man.
It is, absolutely. It is hypothetical, but why not?
Well, that's it. It's up to you. I mean, if that's your philosophy, then
it's a theory. It's a theory. Absolutely, it's a theory. But you know, I keep on hammering it because of the more apparent becoming of the fifth dimensional, the holographic nature of the heavens. It's becoming so apparent. Like, what? There is this thing that flat earthers. Oh, sorry about the term. No, not wanting to trigger anyone, but there's this thing that I was gonna talk about this with what's this guy? With Jason Laufenberg, because he talks about this in one of his videos. He's thought this out very well. He's also a holographic theorist, as it were, that at the southern hemisphere, the sun and the moon also come up and go down in the south. And that just makes no sense. That makes no sense whatsoever if they're going to supposedly be floating around at the equator, above the equator. It doesn't happen. So it's just this hiccup, and it just debunks it this one little bit. Doesn't mean that it's not a useful model. Absolutely not. It's a far superior model. Like, whenever you try to create something Earth related where maps are involved, designers would prefer to go for the flat model because it's much more logical, much more simple to reproduce. And if you want to make a globe out of it, you have to go through all these complex formulas and such, and it's always more complicated.
Yeah.
But anyway,
well, you know,
we'll know when we run into a dome.
Well, it's so hypothetical, man. You know, that's why we need the exploration. So I don't think if we're sealed in, you know, I can't really see why they would try and tell us it was a globe. If you're sealed in, you're sealed in. So
well, the thing is about that is that,
and I don't buy into this. You know, it's something that we can't discover, and it's something that we can't explore. You know, for me, that's kind of disempowering. If that was to turn out to be the truth, then I would accept it. But right now, you know, it just doesn't seem logical to me. If the questions are there and that will to explore, then there probably is something for me. And as I say,
absolutely, we are gonna explore it, and I'm absolutely for that. I'm just saying, it's all still possible, and it's going to be cool no matter what. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a surprise.
That's it. You know, it's just trying to sell that to people and, you know, let them know it's exciting times, you know, the possibility for discovery is here, you know.
Yeah, it's in a literal sense a renaissance. We're waking up. We're using all this. It used to be the presses back then, and now it's the social media. It's a new revolution in communication.
And if you can package it and sell it to people in the right way, you know, put it across to them, you know, as I said, you know, I was chatting to you off and red, you know, I said it before, you know, use the tools that they use for manipulation, you know, just now through the media, and employ the same tactics.
Yeah, for a good reason.
That's it.
And don't get too aggressive, you know.
No.
There are limits.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
We don't need to go pointing the finger at anybody or trying to blame anybody. We can just start to play the game, you know, and influence in our own way. So that's what's been happening.
We've learned to to use their tools, haven't we? We've outmastered them.
Yeah.
They tried to contain us, and now we've all outmastered them. We've all become the master. Now it's our turn.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. That's it. It's just time to, switch the tables and take control.
Indeed, and it's gonna be glorious. We're
That's it.
gonna end up like
Even
getting it under control, getting free.
Yeah.
And also learning how to manage it, learning the wisdom you need,
That's it.
because freedom is very dangerous.
That's it. But
You can screw it up very easily.
But we shouldn't be scared of it,
No, absolutely not.
It's just that.
We just need to learn about it. We need to be prepared.
Yeah. That's it. So,
This is a thing that, in my opinion, we should learn in school, like how to actually deal with more philosophy. I guess it is freedom and dealing with purpose and all that stuff.
that's it. That's it. Open discussion and stop lying to kids. Stop setting them up in psychological mind frames of, accepting fairy tales like Santa Claus and all this fucking nonsense.
Yeah.
We can make things fun without lying to children. You're teaching them from a young age to accept lies, that it's okay to lie. So.
Well, yeah, I'm still. Oh, that's one of those things with Santa Claus. Yeah, I'm still not sure how to deal with that, because there's still some good in it. But I agree that just lying and teaching them that it's like normal in society to do that is bad.
Yeah.
We should learn a better way. Maybe we could just see it as a ritual. Like we tell them, like this is acting, like it's pretend. Maybe I don't know. There should be like a debate about how do we deal with this.
Well, it's
keep the fun stuff, but more responsibly or something.
Yes, you make the rules. You make your relationship with whatever. For me in my household, it's Scotland's a cold, dreary, damp place in winter, and I look at Christmas time as a party that cheers everybody up in the middle of winter. And for me, that's what it's about. It's nothing to do with anything else. It's just whatever you attach the meaning to. So.
Yeah, I agree. That's the good part I was talking about. We shouldn't just ram that into the ground like that. But yeah, we should be more mindful in how we deal with this.
So I'm going to go and have a wee read through the chat, Arwen. So and read some of the comments from that and see if anybody else wants to join. If they're not wanting to join, I'm just going to call a day on it. But I appreciate your time, man, and thanks for coming on.
Yeah, it's good to be on.
Nice one, bud. Where are we here? If anybody's listening, if anybody wants to chat, you need to let me know in the next kind of 5 minutes. I'm going to wrap it up and go and chill, unless there's any discussion happening. Rock vibrations, critical thinking should be installed early, then they might not feel like they need to question life in adulthood and feel like they are doing something wrong whilst doing it. Yeah. Well, that's it.
Yes.
How do we know unless we start applying these things rather than just waiting for a saviour? We need to start applying it ourselves, and it starts at home. If you're applying it with your own, and then it will spread.
Yeah. But people need to see the right example. It's in our nature. Like children do it with their parents, and parents do it with the world. So, yeah, we need just some common sense back in our faces instead of all the bullshit, instead of all the lies and the shameless exploitation and all that nonsense. And we just need to see the right things. And so we get energized. We get energized by that. People underestimate how much people get from just dealing with other people and seeing them. Like people get a lot of energy from this, if it's like the right frequency for them.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry, I'm just kind of distracted here. I'm having a wee look at these comments.
No problem, man. I'm just talking.
Aye, Martin, if you want to jump in, then fine, mate. Anybody else? Cheers, No One's Flower, cool hangout. Who else? Amanda, biggest religious lie. Wait for an earthly saviour, strips people of personal responsibility and self-governance. Exactly. You know, and that's for me what it's about. It's about people taking back responsibility for themselves.
It's, you know what? I've been to the Mormon church. I'm even going there tomorrow still, despite everything that's happened.
Yeah.
But I talk about this too. Like every time they bring up Christ, I always like to emphasize, like, yeah, you know what? This guy, you know, he's really glorious in your book. You're always praising him, and he's doing pretty good stuff at times. So he's an example. That is what he is. He's like, that is what you got to do with it. Just see him, take his example, like not like the dying part on the cross or anything, but just be a good guy, do the right thing, stick up for the weak, that kind of stuff. Just do it right.
Yeah, well, if that's who you are, then you've got to be true to yourself, you know. So.
Yeah, but there's a lot of energy to be found in doing this kind of thing. It's very healthy for you.
Yeah.
You don't have to sacrifice yourself like all the time, because of course, yeah, there are limits. You shouldn't stick up for people you really dislike, for example, you know. That's just unhealthy in a way. Like if that's taking it too far, or people that you can't trust. Like you shouldn't be blindly trusting people with very dangerous things, or like all your money or something.
No, I don't trust it. You know, I don't trust anything. I don't believe anything from anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's it. You know,
just do the right thing.
Well,
you get a lot of energy from it. Like
I can only do what I think's right, you know, to me and what I hold true.
Of course, that's what I mean. You have to follow your own compass.
Yeah,
and you have to figure out what is right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you even have to experiment a little.
That's it.
But always try to end up keeping in mind you gotta end up doing the right thing at least, and don't corrupt yourself. You know, don't think like, oh yeah, sure, whatever later. Just keep on the path and just try to find your way in there.
Yeah, that's it, man. We're all looking for the path, so you know we're on a similar journey. That's why we're here, involved in this. So you know, I think Martin's just come back in, so I'll give Martin a chance to.
Welcome back, Martin.
To talk.
Well, I just thought it was such a good hangout, and there's so many people there. It just seems ashamed to fold it up so early, Del. To be honest.
As long as there's decent discussion. Arwin, can you mute? I just want a couple of people chatting at a time. I don't want it descending into people talking over the top of each other.
Absolutely.
No, especially if someone pauses when one other's talking, and that way we all take in turns, and then it doesn't go into a crescendo that can't be heard on playback, like I've done in the past as mistakes, which I have.
Cool.
But you're right. Yeah. Cool.
So,
nice one, mate. Excellent.
So what's happening in chat? Is there some decent discussion happening then?
There's different discussion. Sasha's view has gone both ways. It's a view. I suppose a few people think, and a few people don't. So that's caused a bit of not an argument, a debate. So it's a healthy debate, and it's it's really good. Chat's really good, really healthy, bouncing a lot. Really cool.
This discussion's great. You know, that's how we progress and understand each other. You know, and,
learn off one another. But you mentioned, Arwin just mentioned trust. Now, trust, I find, and loyalty are rare beasts in my life. I find I just can't fucking find it. It seems that I demand the loyalty that I would give to a friend, or the trust that I would give to a friend, back, and it never gets reciprocated. Like very, very seldom does it come back. So, but that's the world we live in. It's people. You know, not everyone's the same. I get it, but you know, it's a tricky road for a flat earther anyway, because as you said, Arwin, you know, we're like children stumbling in the dark. We don't know where we are. With very limited information coming through, from picking things apart, what's handed to us from sources. Even initially, it was dubious sources, regardless of the really shit hot information that is bang on, as we all know, but it's still from the internet. It's still being fed to us. So everything is, you know, you got to take it with a pinch of salt.
Some things I've actually seen in books, like some of the books. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm going ahead. I just
some of the books that I've seen, like for example, Flatwater. He like scanned some of those in. I've actually seen them in person when I was younger, but I didn't know like what is this? It's like books my parents were interested in. Like my mother, and a book also like people at school. So I think they're probably Jesuits or something. I don't know. But anyway, I did see some of those books. So that's also why they really caught my interest. Because that's people have been busy with this stuff. Like we're talking about it now like it's all new, but it's been there for a long time. There have been a lot of people working with this. They've been learning about this, and they probably just decided to keep it a secret or just see what.
I find it difficult. Like, you know, before 1500, the Renaissance, everyone apparently knew the Earth was flat, but that's just been told to us. We weren't there. And then this Renaissance happens with, you know, Galileo and, you know, fucking Copernicus and all the rest of it. And then they say this Jesuit lie, 500 years. Now, covering that lie, and then only a Renaissance of flat earthers coming out in the 1800s that we know of, and then a trickle in the 20s, and then in the 70s, and now. Then I find that unusual. There's something that doesn't actually fit quite right with that. I don't think they could actually cover that up. People are not that dull. Just look at literature.
No, but they do it through.
There's something else going on. I'm telling you, there is.
I think I know how they've done it. I think they've done it through theology in a way, because if I remember correctly, the whole globe switch happened thanks to England that decided it. Like the Queen decided upon, you know what, it's going to be a globe, and this is what's going to be taught in schools right now. And people were just like, okay, you know, she's the Queen, she's the ruler.
Was Elizabeth the first of
and
that?
That's how it leaked in. People kind of forgot about, because it wasn't important enough. There was just too much pressure from above, from the gods, the Queen. So yeah, and then we're now getting free again. We're now, like, the pressure from above has been retracting. We've got it pretty good right now in the Western world, despite all the shit, despite all the lies and all the wars that still happen. We're still all right. It's not as tyrannical as it used to be. You know, people being not.
I disagree.
You know, well, it's.
I've never felt. I've been around nearly half a century, and when I was like in my 20s, I had a feeling of freedom that no longer exists at all. It doesn't. I'm very limited to what I can do, think. I can't even say what I actually think, because what I actually think is illegal in this country. I can't even say what I think, and that's freedom. That's the freedom of speech. No, man. I got just outside the window here a facial recognition unit on a traffic light. A camera looking at me now.
Well, so far, what I've experienced is that I'm not too sure even like how literal it is. Like all this police state stuff. I've seen so many weird things.
Imagine.
Guys, I need to go to the toilet. We're back in 2 minutes.
All right, Del Boy, I'll hold the fort for you, brother. Doing a good job, Del Boy, there.
Yeah,
he had a light bulb explode on him with his energy. Sorted. Nice. Everyone in chat. Nice. Hello, guys. Flat Earth Britain hijacking Del Boy's show for 10 minutes. I'm only playing. No, he's got excellent points, and he is right what he's saying about, like, you know, disclosure. But like, I know this in the bottom of my mind, in the back of my mind, but I realise that in the interim period, until everyone pulls their shit together on the same team, you know, then because otherwise we're all just going to be bouncing back and forth and arguing with one another while everything passes us by. You know, like the old song says, life's what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. And that's exactly right. While we're all sort of, you know, chasing our tails and trying to find out limited clues with limited information, it's all passing us by while the powers that be are real entities, and they do really want to close society down, and they're doing an excellent job. Look at the news today, if there's any reality in it, Arwin. The British offering out Russia, and Russia offering out Britain. It's quite alarming if you're thinking this is true, meaning that they are saying that the Olympic Games are the most corrupt ever. The 1,000 athletes, right, were basically sponsored or told to do it by the Russian government, meaning Putin, right? So it's a direct shot at Putin. They've had a guy that's come back sort of threatening us, and we've had another guy from MI6 come in, say, okay, Russia, okay, that's on the back burner, but we got armed police on the streets of every British city because they're awaiting, not frightened of, awaiting a major terrorist attack from ISIS, a CIA fucking band. It's just...
It could be very well, you know.
Mate, they're all amped up in town.
Back. They've been telling us, like, yeah, we know you've got us, and we're really pissed off, and they're gonna strike back, and they're trying everything they can to stop it, to reverse it. It's not gonna work.
I seen a video earlier of Anonymous going in Trump Towers with a banner saying the Earth is flat, and it got like made American press. The Earth is flat.
What's happening, guys? What we're talking about here?
Back.
Oh, I was just saying, I seen a video earlier of Trump Towers. Anonymous were rushing it, yeah, on film, and they had a big placard saying the Earth is flat, and it was on sort of CNN. So, you know, like literally tens of millions have seen that, like, so that's quite good.
Listen, guys, I'm going to give a bit of attention to the comments. I appreciate you coming on and having a chat and stuff. But I'm just going to give a bit of attention to some of the people in chat.
Okay. It's been a pleasure, my friend. God bless you, Del.
I want to get back to some of the issues and points. So
yeah, definitely. Right. Okay, God bless you, bro.
Guys, thank you.
Want me to go too, or can I stay?
No, mate, I'm just going to go to the chat now. So
all right.
I don't think anybody else is going to come in. I'm just going to respond to some of the comments and then probably wrap it up. But again, mate, you know, I appreciate your time, you know, and having a bit of discussion.
Yeah, I appreciate being here.
Nice one. Take it easy, mate. So, where are we here? I'm not really sure what's happening here in chat. Right, guys, you know, I can see there's a bit of chat happening. I've lost touch with what everybody's talking about. There's so much going on. You know, if anybody's got anything relevant to the discussion, you know, any last questions or whatever before I go.
I have a question.
Are you still there, man?
Yeah, I was hiding.
What's happening?
Yeah, I was wondering. Yeah, when is your next hangout going to be?
Well, I'm not sure. You know, I done this as just a trial to see how it went. You know, I'll maybe do it again soon. You know, some good discussion. So, Barbara McGill, talk about pressure, Del, please. Well, you know, we live in pressure. You know, and the only way for us to create pressure is by having some sort of solid sealed unit. You know, I don't really know what else to say about it. You know, that's just, you know, observing reality and how it operates. You know, why should it be any different on the larger scale? That's why it logically takes me to, you know, being some sort of sealed unit. Because, you know, it can't be, you know, expanding sideways. You know, the pressure at some point is going to have to equilibrate. You know, It makes sense to me that it's some sort of contained system. We maybe pressure valves, you know, that maintains a certain pressure. Who knows? It's a machine as far as I'm concerned. I try and look at it like, construction wise, mechanical wise. You know, it could be, you know, I think people are limited to this. It's because of this globe image and this naturalistic explanation that I think people are trying to look for. When, you know, it could just be a progression of construction. And it is a solid construct that we're inside, and you know there's probably something beyond it. You know, a bigger environment, as I keep saying. But as I say, a sealed unit with pressure valves of some kind would make sense to me, and that's only by understanding, you know, things that we operate every single day in reality. And as I say, you know, I don't see why things should operate any different in the bigger scale. You know, that's just globe thinking again. Same thing with the oceans. Water behaves differently at a bigger unspecified scale.
Yeah, but it's not that unpredictable because, like, what there are all the suggestion with like climate change and super disasters. It's not really happening on that scale, like real flooding. The sea is relatively stable, except for like the tsunamis and that kind of crap. Yeah, that still happens.
Same applies to
there's no like giant sea level changes except for the ebb and flow.
No, it's like you know, there'll be like, almost like an overflow pipe, if you like. You know, it would never go beyond a certain level unless that was blocked.
Or a pump.
Because as I say, you know, I think
like a heart pump.
You know, I don't know about that. I think maybe, you know,
Eric Dubé made a video about that. Did you see that one? About the ebb and flow of the oceans, and explaining that it's like a pump at Mount Meru.
Well, I think you know, a pump would make sense, but you know, a heart is a you know.
No, not like a flesh.
Literally like a heart, like a living heart, like a mechanical.
Well,
device.
maybe it's a higher form of technology. It's a natural technology using magnetism and just fields, like, and how they change. You know, so many things are possible. We're just on the verge of even discovering how is this world possible? How has this manifested?
Well,
how is it even possible? You know,
this manifested like it's came from some dimension somewhere. It's a construction. You know,
granite. Do you know about that? Granite? It's like one of the most awesome aspects, that granite cannot have been formed over time. It has to be instantly created because the elements inside of it, if they had the chance to interact, to change as they were formed into their state, then they would have disintegrated. Like, it had to be formed instantly.
Yeah.
It's so awesome.
Listen, Arvin, I appreciate your time, man. I'm going to go and deal with the chat now.
Yeah.
If you know, you can just switch
I'll
your camera and stuff off. And
it's been great talking on your Hangout. And
thank you, man. Cheers. Appreciate it.
Yeah, see you.
See you later, man. Right. Onto this chat. What's happening? No one's flew. It'd be awesome if Dale and Robert Bassano had a hangout. I'm not sure who that is. Freedom awaits. This was good, Dale. Appreciated. Look forward to the next one, brother. Much love. Thanks. Appreciate it. Maybe have another one. You know, it's good if it's stimulating discussion. It would be good if, you know, I had a variant of different people coming on. I was hoping, you know, we would maybe get a globe believer, but I kind of predicted that none would show up. Obviously, because they know it's not a fucking globe. Bassano has vanished. Magumba. Whenever you get people discussing things that are being hidden from them, there's going to be some degree of disagreement. Yep. People don't want to admit they've been lied to, or that that's going on. No, it certainly ain't no globe. Dan. So, anyway, people, if nobody else is getting to say, I appreciate everybody's time in the discussion, and I'll hopefully maybe set it up again and, have a topic of discussion maybe. I just kind of left it open tonight to whatever, just to see who showed up. But I've had a wee smoke and I'm starting to slow down now. Oh, got a noise. Who's this? Lawrence Wright. How you doing, Lawrence?
Hi, Dale. Yeah. One thing that's for some thoughts I've been having recently now is if you look at I'm well, Dale. I'm doing well with my guitar. I've had a few lessons now.
Good. Let me hear you. What are you saying?
It's echoing.
Must be your end.
I think whatever I say comes out, it echoes.
It must be your end.
It's coming out delayed, but I'll say it and it'll come out a few seconds later. But
you need to turn down if you're listening to it, Lawrence. I think you need to turn down the video.
I'm going to come in and out, mate. Coming through you still? Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, mate. So imagine flat Earth. It's been around a long time, and the Illuminati or the powers that be, whatever you want to call them, they knew this was coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm talking over myself now. This is no good.
Are you watching it on the YouTube, Lawrence? Anyway, I think if you're watching it on YouTube and you've got the volume up, it's having a delay effect or a. We'll see if he comes back in. Station of Flat Earth, respect to you for doing this, hanging out, mate. Appreciated, man. Cheers. I'm sorry if I'm missing comments here. No, it's all Lawrence Wright. I'm off this. Cannot listen to see you all again. Well, sorry, Rory. I want to, give everybody a voice and discuss with anybody. I'm not anti-censoring anybody. I appreciate, some people are, that's just not their type. They can't put up with that. But Orphan Red, thank you for the opportunity to discuss. It was fun. Now, thank you for coming on. Anytime. Appreciate it. Angela Raven 44, congrats, Dale. Great first show, great guest too. Thank you very much. I'm going to repeat it. It's not really about me. It's just about the discussion. It's about the subject. That's why I'm having it open for everybody to come in and have a bit. I'm not a figurehead for anybody. I'm going to give Lawrence, I'll see if Lawrence, I'll give him 5 minutes. Right, hang on, I'll put it in here. There it is. The link's in the chat. No one's far sent you a link to the SANS channel. Thanks very much. Amanda, thanks again. It's hard to tell what's going on in the chat sometimes. Players out with Hendricksdale. Martin, this camera doesn't pick the guitar sound up very well. I'll need to get a better sound for that.
Hi, Del. Am I back?
Well, you there, Lawrence?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're very quiet.
Oh, I'll put the volume up. I was going to say,
That's
take
better.
this volume back up. Or I'll talk a bit louder. Obviously, Flat Earth's been around for a long time, but
Yeah.
the powers that be, they know about it, and they were probably responsible for putting it back out there.
Yeah.
Past 3 or 4 years or so. It wouldn't surprise me. You know, they had the Illuminati Flat Earth card game back in the 80s, so they knew this was coming.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, is it out there as a distraction to take us away from something else? You know,
Yeah.
and just to get everybody focused on this when something else more important's going on that they don't really want us to know about. I mean, what do they gain from putting it out there? What would you say?
Well, for me, putting it out there is controlling where it goes. You know, a fake paradigm. You know,
Yeah.
setting some scenario up like, you know, like this. There's a great evil in Antarctica. We can't go beyond that point. We told a lie because we were scared of public reaction.
Yeah.
Really, we're sealed in here. You know, I don't know.
Well, I mean, a lot of people think that whatever is outside this realm is another dimension to what we are. And if you looked at something in a game that you would play on a computer screen, whoever's in that game, it wouldn't matter how much intelligence you gave to it, it couldn't escape from the screen and come and sit down and have a cup of coffee with you, could it?
Yeah.
It would always be tied into the screen because that's in the second dimension. We're in the third. So if it's a fourth or higher outside the realm, then maybe we can't go anywhere. You know, even if we knew it was there, we may be unable to actually go out there and experience it because it's outside our perception.
Well, you know, I look at that and I go, right, well, why did they lie in the first place? Right, if you know there is no way out, right, why would they lie in the first place?
Well, why would it? Maybe. Well, my thoughts on that at the time were that back in the 1500s, you know, it was very much master and servant, and you know, they needed lots of manpower for all the agriculture and stuff that was going on. They needed us then. So if it turned out that there were new worlds beyond ours, then people may decide to leave. You know, the grass might be greener on the other side, and then they wouldn't have their slaves to do all the work for them. So they had a vested interest in keeping us here. Now they don't. You know, all the things that we do are gradually being replaced by machines or fewer people. You know, you don't. How many men did it take to make a motor car 100 years ago? How many does it take now? You know, it's a small fraction, isn't it? Because machines do most of the work. So they don't, you know, they could probably run this earth on a small fraction of the current population and just use the technology that they've got. So maybe they've released it now for it to ultimately get out there, and we can move on. I mean, that's the best case scenario I can see, that, you know, but they're not going to let it out all at once.
No.
Maybe because it's going to be too big a shock to the system for these things. You know, if you give somebody really bad news or any kind of news all at once and that to a whole community, would cause. Yeah, you're right. It would cause a huge amount of trauma.
And that's what I see happening. It's like a drip feed, and I felt that, you know, especially in the first kind of 6 months, it felt to me as if it was like information gathering on reaction. You know, on, you know, reactions and different levels, emotions, psychological, you know, engaging that. I think, you know, for me, that's what I see going on. that's what went on. So I think maybe you're right. Drip feeding it rather than just one go.
Here's a question for you, Dale. Let's say in 10 years' time the interest grows, exponentially. Because it's not going away, but it has fallen a bit recently. Let's say that the powers that be can't contain it anymore, and so they say, "Yep, we admit it. We've been covering it up for hundreds of years, but we've got a good reason because there is somewhere beyond here, but we can't go there, and we thought it was best in your best interest to con you and to tell you that we're living on a ball." So let's say that the powers that be they admit the Earth's flat. What are people going to do then? Everybody isn't going to start getting in a boat and going to Antarctica. Even if they had the money, they probably wouldn't go. Some people would. If they said, "Well, yeah, go and have a look where you like, but it's pretty cold down there," or even the North Pole, because it's probably something similar up there. And they said, "Well, yeah, there may be a gateway there, and you can go through it, but you ain't going to see anything because it's a different dimension." So how would it change your life? Let's say they announced it tomorrow. The Earth is flat. We're sorry, we lied to you. It's flat. What are you going to do next? It's there. They've admitted it. What's everybody going to do?
Well, that's it. I can only, as I keep saying, I can only aim for my ideal situation, and that would be to have people, at a level where they want the exploration, they're excited about it, they want to know. So.
Yeah, all right. Well, I still think that most of these people that have come into Flat Earth now, they've bought into the original information that they were giving, which is the stuff that dates back to Robotham. And that's it. They're not looking at anything beyond that. And anything that comes in that proves that that's wrong, it's been ignored. So let me give you an example. Scott of the Antarctic, when you plot, let me bring up let me share a screen with you. We can. Okay, let's talk about this. Give me your perspective on this. So here we are. Can you see that, Dal?
Hang on.
Have you got it?
Yeah.
All right, so I've got all the details about Scott's expedition. So he started at 7752 south, latitude 166.96 east. So when you plot it on the map, that Martin was going on about that he's going to start telling everybody, this is the best that they've got.
Yeah.
Well, Scott started there. His entire journey was within the Antarctic over ice. The only way you can get from there to the opposite side, is to walk along the ice. Now that's 36,000 miles. Yeah, 36,000 miles. Well, we know it wasn't that far. I mean, if you had to walk 36,000 miles, Del, and walk 36,000 miles back, how long is that going to take you? On foot? It's going to take you 20 years.
Yeah.
But they got there in a few months. So here's the actual route over here. Let me just make it a bit smaller, see if people can see it. There we are. There's the route.
Am I sharing this? I need to find out if I'm actually sharing this.
Yeah, this is going out to people. So this is the actual route they took. Yeah, and it was 858 miles that he walked. It wasn't 36,000 miles. So this alone, and I've got shitloads more proofs that we run on our show every week, showing that this is a complete and utter nonsense. And yet, despite giving this evidence there, you debunk it now. You can't debunk that because this is all the official. The only thing you can say, well, Scott it was a big hoax that he never went to the Antarctic. But then we got more information. I can show you the flights that go from one side to the other. They get over there in about 4 hours. And the planes that they use have only got a range of 2,000 miles, but they've got to do 36,000 miles. It's ridiculous.
Well, that's the whole point. That's why I said about people adopting these maps and models, because as you've found, there's so many flaws. I never adopted any of them from the off anyway. I sat back and watched. So that's my whole point. I don't know why people are even contemplating these things.
So I'm just quoting. All the research we use is factual information that can be checked. Now, some of it comes from official sources because that's all we've got, but we cross-reference it where we can, which adds validity to the argument. But when you get people like Mark Knight, Wakey Wakey, he's done that conference from Glastonbury, and he's bringing this up, saying he's sticking to this till something better comes along.
Yeah.
And when I've just blown it out of the water, that tells me that he's either completely ignorant, he won't look at this stuff, or he's a shill. There's no two ways about it. You know, this has to be said. And the same with Mark Sargent. This fucking ice wall, it doesn't exist. It's a figment of their imagination. There is no fucking ice wall. Yeah, there are walls of ice, but they don't go for, 70-odd thousand miles. They might go for, 50 miles or something like that. They don't go all the way around a circular Earth.
Well, this is the thing, mate. You're preaching to the choir with me anyway, and I know you're not aiming it at me, but all these claims that are made about ice walls and people claiming to know what the dimensions are. This is the issue I have. That shouldn't be happening. And anybody that is pushing anything like that should be questioned. Because that's as I was saying earlier, for me that could be part of the deception, is to convince people of this circular model.
Right. Yeah.
So,
I know. So and that's what's been adopted to day one, and our channel's been blacklisted so that we don't get many views and stuff like that.
I seen it in Facebook. As I say, I done the Badger thing in these groups, and that's what they were hell bent on. Anything with flat Earth in the title was automatically attributed this AE map and this model or the dome, or these idiotic things that are pushed.
Let me just bring something up here now, because we were chatting about simulation theory in our last show, if you managed to catch any of it. And the reason for that is that I'm seeing things that don't make sense. There's going to be two sides. So you look at this image of crepuscular rays, Now look at those rays, Del. And if you trace those rays back to the sun, I'm finding it hard to believe that it's 3,500 miles back up to that sun at those angles. It's got to be 100 miles or something, or 50 miles or something like that. There's no way I can see that unless it's a trick of perspective and light and whatever, refraction or something. Well, I'm finding it hard to believe that that's true.
No, it's I don't think anybody can show exact figures, because who can account for the refraction, diffraction, and reflection? The temperature and the amount of moisture from each foot that you go is going to be different from all the way to the sun or whatever the sun is. These observations in the sky are just not accurate.
Yeah, I know, but we this is a proper. Where's that gone? This is a proper scientific explanation of the sun. So, if you take a man who is on the equator during one of the equinoxes, he can observe the sun at 60 degrees to the east. So that's point A on there. And then if he follows the sun for 4 hours, he will see that the sun is then 60 degrees to the west. So the basics of geometry and equilateral triangles is that if you can find the side of one, then the other two are going to be the same size, because you've got 3 60-degree angles, which gives 3 sides. So you work out how far the sun's traveled. Well, we're told it's 24,901 miles. So that means in an hour it does 1,037. So in 4 hours it does 4,150. And when you apply the math to that, which means all you basically do is you take half of one side and multiply it by the square root of 3, you get a sun height of 3,594 miles. So that is observable. But these crepuscular rays are also observable. And it cannot be both.
That's the point, but that equation thing that you just shared, for me that is kind of hypothetical, because what you're doing is taking it from where you think the sun is.
Well, you're observing it from an angle, aren't you?
Well, that's it. But
it may not be there. Yeah, it may be somewhere else.
Exactly.
It may be somewhere else, but that figure I've come up with, other people have come up with similar figures. So. I think there is some validity in that, but the crepuscular rays, I look at that and I'm thinking, You know, it's not much, but you know, twice the height of what planes go or something.
Yeah.
I find it hard to believe that that's 3,500 miles away.
Well, I had a similar observation. You know, there's a race course close to me that I take the dog, and in the summer, you know, I'm looking at the cloud above me and the size of the cloud, and then I'm looking at the shadow that's being cast on the ground below me.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm thinking, right, the size of that cloud, you know, the shadow is, you know, 4 or 5 times the size of what I'm looking at the cloud. So that tells me that the light source is way closer. You know, if that light source was even 3,000 miles away, the shadow of that cloud would probably be around about the same size as the actual cloud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's so many anomalies with the sun and the observations. That's why I highlighted it as a red herring, because there's nothing exacting that we have.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't take us any closer to any answers. As far as I'm concerned, anyway. You know what I mean? So.
And then you get these observations where everywhere on Earth, near as damn it, is in the east and set in the west. Well, that defies all logic as to how that could happen, you know. Yeah. So that's sort of, you know, so I'm not saying it's true, but I'm exploring the arguments for simulation and seeing what evidence is out there.
Yeah.
And here's a few questions for you. See what answers you would come up with these. There we go. Here's a few questions. Okay, so I'm not suggesting you take up a simulation theory, Dale. Just entertain the idea without accepting it. But if we are in a simulation, who do you think created it?
I'm just going to highlight that because that's the point. You know, you always have to say this to people. If you're going to talk about simulation theory, it's just something we're discussing. It's not something that we buy into. It's not something that we claim's true. You know, so aye.
Yeah.
So go for it, mate.
All right. So who created the simulation? Well, if this stuff takes off and becomes more popular, which it seems to be, there's going to be two schools of thought. One's going to be saying it's God, and the other one's probably going to be saying that it is our ancestors. So not our ancestors, sorry, our descendants who have sufficient computing power to simulate their ancestors, which is us, and the sophistication of the technology is so that we can actually believe we're real, even if we're not. So if you went back to Apollo, for example, do you know how much computing power has gone up since Apollo, which was whatever 40 years ago?
Yeah.
It's gone up 750,000-fold. Yeah. So in 40 years, if it went up another 750,000-fold, then these simulated realities that we have today on these games, you know, you're going to find it hard to tell the difference between that and the reality.
Yeah.
And it seems to, you know, all these kids now, they come home from school and, you know, huge millions of them, they get on these Xboxes and they stay on them all night. So they're in a simulated reality anyway. They're pushing the Matrix on us.
What you're discussing, saying there sounds like the movie 13th Floor.
Yeah.
Somebody put me onto that, and I watched that, and that's kind of like what you're discussing.
Yeah. So if you was entertaining the idea, who do you think would have created this simulation if it was real? Hypothetically.
Well, philosophically, you know, playing with ideas, you know, I could come up with loads, but you know, eternal souls, playing with technology. You know, as I've said before, you could entertain the notion that this is just a simulated experience that doesn't really mean anything. It's like, you know, what's the movie with Schwarzenegger?
Oh, you mean Total Recall?
Aye, you know, who knows? You know, at the end of the day, it's a construct we're in. You know, so you know, who can put limits on the possibilities of that? You know.
All right. Well, let's assume that it was a simulation. Then, if it's a simulation, then is that a game? Because it seems like a game to me that somebody's playing with us. You know, we're the Sims in this dimension. They're in some dimension above us, and we're the players. And obviously, on Earth, you're going to have the extras and those that step outside the box. So, you know, most people, you know, for decades. So many people have done the same job for 40 years, and, you know, their lives are pretty much regulated and uniform. They don't do much outside the ordinary.
You know, I said that earlier. You know, I contemplate that you know, it is a simulation. That, you know, maybe the program is that we're not really supposed to question, you know, or have that consciousness about us where we're, you know, because I look at my kids, you know, in that kind of state that they're in, and they don't, you know, that contemplation's not there. They're not really questioning anything. They're just, you know, going with the flow, you know, of the experience, if you like. So I don't know.
All right. Well, if let's say that it was a simulation, would you consider it to be a game?
Well, obviously.
Yeah. All right. So the game started. Most games have a start and an end, don't? If you have a game of Monopoly with your mates, did you ever play that when you were a kid?
Yeah.
The game has a start and an end. So maybe the simulation is scheduled to end at some point in time.
Could be a reset. You know, there's that whole thing there.
Yeah. People talk about a reset, don't they? And if it is a game, you know, what was the purpose of it? Why is there a game? What do they hope to gain from it? Are they is it for entertainment?
Why do you go on a ride at an amusement park? You know, it's
entertainment, isn't it? Yeah.
Thrill and entertainment. You know, that's what this could be. You know, and people are taking it too seriously, as in it's got spiritual meaning, and you know, you learn. You know, who knows? But
I know. Well, Bill Hicks, whoever he is, Alex Jones, Bill Hicks. He was a bloody good comedian. And what was he saying? It's just a ride. Well, if it was a ride, then that's a simulation, isn't it?
That's it.
You know. But if it is a game, then it's obvious to me that those people in power, the Illuminati, whoever we want to call them, they know the rules of the game, don't they? Because they're the ones who are in control of everything. They know that they have more information than we do. And the question is, what information do they have that we don't? I think one of the things is karma. I think karma exists in this game, so that, you know, if you do bad, you're going to get it back equally as bad. And if you do good, it will come back to you. And I always take the view that you cannot give anything away, because you're effectively giving it to yourself. You're throwing some goodness to yourself. You're throwing it forward into the future, and it will be reflected back to you. What rules would you see that there were that maybe we don't know about, or that you would speculate on?
You know, I don't know. I've contemplated that as well. You know, if they had that kind of knowledge, and they were aware of karma or some sort of recourse for their actions, would they actually participate in it? Yeah. So the fact that you know, people do participate in it tells me that, you know, that they don't really fear any recourse. But this whole thing about Illuminati and these evil doers, at the end of the day, you know, they put a product out there and people buy it. You know.
Well, they do.
It's not about, you know, they have any more power than we have. It's, you know, people are buying ideas, people are buying beliefs, people are buying certain mindsets, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have the power because we give it to them. That's the long and short of it, isn't it? You know, we let them have it, and that this karma thing does come in because, you know, if they could carry out some atrocity or terrorist thing without killing, say, 3,000 people on 9/11, but convince us that they did it, then they're not going to get the bad karma because they didn't actually kill anybody.
Yeah.
You know, the same with all these other, you know, there's lots of them, isn't there? You know, but when you look into it in any depth, you find out that the whole thing was staged and it's just part of their game.
Well, that's it. You know, and a lot of this stuff people are getting from media and images from media, second-hand information. So,
yeah, I know. So, I mean, have you got any observations that sort of don't meet reality or conflict with what you're seeing? The things that don't add up. Have you seen anything?
What do you mean? I don't know what you mean.
In life, things that you've seen or experienced where you think, well, how did I know that? Or, you know, this doesn't fit in with my observations.
See, I don't know. I don't really know what you mean. This whole thing with the flat Earth, I've had so much like familiarity with certain situations. Like, You could almost
Yeah.
see as if it's happened before. You know, that could play into the whole reset thing. You know, I'm saying this philosophically. I'm not saying this as a claim. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what if simulation theory was the biggest conspiracy, and flat Earth was a distraction to stop people looking from it? You know,
Well,
because they have. I mean,
that's the thing. If you get control of the machine or the technology, and you know you're enjoying having your control of it, and you're enjoying having people working what suits you, you know, and you want to keep that for them in order to maintain your power, then you know it can just be a matter of insecurity at them not having a say or control. You know, if we realise that we're in a simulation, you know, we're going to lighten up. I'd imagine a lot of people will lighten up. They're not going to take things so seriously. You know,
that's a good point, Dale. Yeah. So let's say, for argument's sake, the powers that be said, "Look, we're sorry, but it is a simulation, and you know, this is how it all works. You're not really real, but I know it feels real, but it ain't real."
Yeah.
I mean, would that change your life for the good or the bad if you found it out? And how would it, you know, what would you do?
Well, I thought, of course, you know, I don't know how I would feel until I got there. I just know that, you know, I know nothing of who I am and where I am, and that I want to get closer to finding that. How I'm going to feel or what the actual truth is unknown to me. I just know that I want to find it, you know.
So they tell you that you're just ones and zeros, you're just computer code, but it's so sophisticated that, you know, they've made it like it feels like it's real, you know, and they've got all these, you know, rules in the game where, you know, it's like, imagine that there's places that you've never been to. They don't actually exist until you get there, and then they're created for you when you get there. And like if you got to Antarctica, nobody's been beyond that, so the program that you're in would create something as you got there, you know, and it would just go on ad infinitum.
Well, I have, you know, I contemplated that as in terms of people's beliefs. You know, what if, you know?
Yeah. Have you looked at Google Maps? Like, for example, if you looked at the Eiffel Tower and zoomed out, what you get is this wallpaper Earth effect. Like the whole thing just goes on and on and on and on and on. And that's on all Google Maps. And the question is, well, why? Why aren't they just showing us one map? Why have they got these repeating maps that go end to end to end to end?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it seems like it's some kind of clue.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think, I mean, if it became obvious that it was in a simulation, everybody would start smoking pot, and, you know, everybody, as you say, everybody's going to lighten up a bit. Well, hey, it's just the fucking game. And, you know, the suicide rate would probably go up and say, well, fuck it, if it's just a game, I'm going out and I'm going to come back as somebody else, as a millionaire or something, you know.
Well, that's the issue, you know. If that was to be proven the case, you know, if people there would be a percentage of people would dive straight into nihilism, I think, you know. But who knows? At the end of the day, I think, you know, truth's important, regardless of what the actual truth is. I don't care if it's something fucking horrific. Then I still want to know, you know. And that's just me. I'm committed to that. So
yeah. Well, I just think there's something a whole lot bigger, whether it's this or something else.
Oh, of course.
That flat Earth is, because if you look at, you know, the enemy to the elite are those who are what you'd call critical thinkers, or those who will dare to step outside the box so far. Some people will just step outside as far as they can. And that therein lies the problem, because the powers that be don't want us to step outside. So we become the enemy to them. So they try to control us with these things that they release, because they're pushing all this stuff out there, and they decide what's flavor of the month and what should be talked about and what shouldn't. You know, they can manipulate the YouTube figures. You can manipulate them yourself to put higher view counts on if you were so inclined, and it doesn't cost very much money. But they're setting the show. They're saying what we talk about. They own YouTube. They could turn it all off tomorrow. If Flat Earth, they didn't want Flat Earth out, you know, they just shut it all. They just block all videos on it, wouldn't they?
Exactly.
So there has to be a reason why it's being pushed. You know, and that's what is, you know, lights my curiosity up at the moment, is to, you know, what else are they covering up?
Yeah. Well, Who knows? That's the thing. It could be a full release. It could be telling it. We could get the actual truth eventually. It might just be a matter of gauging how people react and how they can bring it in, or it could be a game to maintain control and push another deception. Like I can see a scenario of building people to a crescendo, and then having this outing of the evil and the evil forces. We must unite under God's kingdom, something like, I could see so many scenarios happening, but I think there definitely is a bigger picture.
Because, if you look at mankind went nowhere allegedly for thousands of years.
Yeah.
And then over the past 150 years, we've had like 10,000 years of development in 150 years. So it seems that all this technology was probably, they already had it, and they've just given a control release of it. I mean, they've probably got next year's iPhone already made, and the one after that, and the one after that. So they can make more money out of it. And I mean, how do they know that they can increase computing power? Because supposedly they can double it every year. Well, how do they know they can do that? You would think there would have to be some breakthrough in technology to double the processing power of this year. But it just rolls on year after year after year after year. So I think that they've already got the technology of 40 years down the road now, and they're letting it out in drips and drabs. But if they've got that now, then they've got a whole lot more power to, manipulate us than we can possibly believe.
Well, that's the thing. I questioned where a lot of this technology would have originated from, and for me it makes sense that they made discoveries of certain aspects of this reality that they've managed to learn from, back engineer, and that's where the introduction of some of these technologies has come from. Look at how computers operate. It still baffles me. Even like a mobile phone these days with 5,000 songs, percussion, drums, guitar, singing, it's all, what is it? What is actually going on in there? You know what I mean? That's like, that there's something in the technology that we take for granted every single day that gives us a clue to, this actual reality, as far as I'm concerned. It's stuff that I don't really understand right now, but, I'm having a look at it. I even went and had a look at, something simple like how a record operates, like an LP.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating,
I mean, if you go back to the 1980s, I had a mobile phone with my job, and it was the size of a house brick, and it weighed a ton. And you look at what you can get now. You can get one that just, the Japanese have got one that you can just dangle on the end of your ear, little tiny thing. So I think the progress is probably that they're cramming more bits and bytes into a smaller area.
But it's the process. It's what's actually happening. I mean, you've got a device there that's taking your voice in live time, transferring it through some, medium to another device that somebody hears your actual voice. I mean, it's these processes in the technology is something that I'm trying to wrap my mind around and try and understand, because I think we're missing that. We just take it for granted.
They give us the technology, but we don't. None of us really know how it works, does it? I'm talking to you and you're hearing me instantaneously. I'm in northwest of England. You're 300 miles north of me, and it's like instantaneous. Well, you could be in America and it'd still be instantaneous. There isn't even a lag for the speed of whatever light. If the speed of, I don't think there's a speed of light actually. I think it's instantaneous, and they've just, if you look up the math as to how they worked out the speed of light, it just blow your brains out. How did they work that out? I think it's just more bullshit that they're putting out there. When they work out how far it is to the sun, they use the transit of Venus across the sun, but they make assumptions that cannot be validated. You need, if you want to calculate the distance from to anywhere, you need some starting information, and if that's flawed, then your end result's going to be flawed. And that's what they do. They make assumptions that are not true and use those assumptions to tell us, well, this is how it is. The math.
They're viewing these things through a medium of moisture. And they can't account exactly for every bit of that. It's just ridiculous.
And there's a lot of people interested in flat Earth, but most of them are just armchair viewers, and I'm mostly armchair. I have gone out and actually met the people a few times and done some presentations. But if we want to get the flat Earth out to the people, then we actually need to get out there. We need action. We need banners over the side of motorways saying, you know, the Earth is flat. Look at this, or you know, send them somewhere where they can get some good information, which is the difficult thing at the moment, because the information they're giving out is not good.
Yeah, I would encourage more, you know, just focus on the fact that the globe's a lie. You know, posters of that, questions.
Well, do you know what? Do you know what I would do? I mean, if you know, I haven't got the resources to do it, you know, but I would get some attractive women, yeah, and I'd get them tickets for the FA Cup final, and I'd get them to tattoo their arses flat on one cheek and Earth on the other, and get them to run across the pitch. Now that'd be seen by a lot of people, wouldn't it? FA Cup final or the Champions League's final. You know, it'd be seen by tens of millions of people, wouldn't it? And you know, the policemen, they wouldn't be putting the policeman's helmet over their fanny. They'd be putting it over their arse cheeks, wouldn't they? Cover up the flat Earth. Forget about the fanny. That's what they do, wouldn't they? Or their tits, flat on one and Earth on the other. They, you know, they need 4 helmets. They need 4 policemen's helmets, wouldn't they, for one woman?
Well, you know, any methods to get the message out. But as I say, you know, I would prefer focusing mainly on the fact that, you know, that claim is a false claim, that it's a globe. It's just because the flat Earth is so loaded, and people have so many preconceived ideas of it. You know, even saying it, you know, if you start a conversation with somebody and say it already, you're going to get a reaction from them. But if you use a method of just questioning something that they already believe, that for me is a far better method. But I find it absolutely incredulous that we've got all these thousands of flat earthers out there, and I don't think some of them actually looked at a globe. If you look at a globe and look where you are on it, then it's not looking for the curvature, it's looking for the angle of the land beneath your feet. So if you look where you are, Del, you're at latitude 55 north. Yeah. So the angle of the land between your feet, all you do is you knock 90 degrees off it. You should be wherever you live, you should be on, your house should be built on an angle at 35 degrees. Yeah. 90 less 55 is 35 degrees. So everywhere north of you should be uphill, and everywhere south of you should be downhill. So if you were traveling down to London, you could get in your car and just take your handbrake off and you'd get there. You know, and it was uphill all the way back. That's how it would be if we really lived on a block. But yet if you really lived in a globe, every direction's downhill. So if you go, you know. But we know this. I mean, this we know. The globe is absolutely ridiculous. So
it is. But I mean, that for me, that's the biggest giveaway, that we're not on a globe, because you know, everywhere you look, it's a flat horizon. You know, if I gave you a globe and said, Dale, here's a globe, and here's some super glue, and here's some soldiers or model men, and I want you to stick these men all around this earth, but they've all got to be upright relative to each other. It ain't going to happen, is it?
No,
you couldn't do it. Or if we were really on the globe and space travel was real, then you could observe the Earth from the spacecraft, and you could see the airplanes flying upside down in Australia. that ain't going to happen, is it? It's just not going to happen. Or if you decided to dig a tunnel from where you are,
when do you flip?
And when you come out the other side, you're gonna have to flip round the other way, but that's not going to happen.
Just
you know, what turns you the other way around it? But the globers, you know, they just say, oh, you're just talking like a child now. You know, that's silly. That's silly.
You need to believe in magic. You know, adults believe in magic. You know, and special forces. Yeah, so, but the place is covered in fucking water. You know, that's pretty much any rational mind. You know. Yeah,
it's been a tennis ball, and all the water's, you know, it's like it'd been in a spin dryer, isn't it? It's all just going to be flung outwards. All the water would be just dispersed. And if we were a globe, how did the frigging water get there in the first place? Was it by some giant, you know, comet that was made of water to create the oceans, and then they all magically stuck to the Earth. I mean, if you look at that stupid interview with Brian Cox, he just said, oh, it started off as a speck of dust, and a speck of dust fell on that, and eventually all these speck of dust turned into the Earth, and it rained on it, and it created us. Well, you know, but people pay to go and listen to that fucker.
Yeah, it's fantastical though. It's, you know, it's a big story. So
yeah, I know, but most
people are gullible. They want something to believe in. So
yeah,
it doesn't surprise me that they believe absolute shite like that. And as I say, you know, the place is covered in water. That's all they need to know.
I know, and there's some people that you can't talk to flat Earth about. You know, you can do a tester question by something that's less controversial. So I talk to people about when I go to the airport, you know, and I've got to take my belt off, I've got to take my shoes off, I've got to have all my bags scanned, and you know, I can't take more than 100 mils of liquid in my hand luggage, but I can put a bomb in my main luggage that goes in the hold. What's all that about? And so when you speak to somebody and you tell them how ridiculous it is at the airport, they'll say, yeah, but we don't want any terrorists getting on the plane, do we? I mean, it's absurd. And yet we put up with it. They bring all these new rules out and we put up with it. They say you can't have a cigarette in the pub. And what do? We obey. You know, the only interesting conversations you get in the pub now is when the people outside are stood outside having a chat and having a fag. You know, in the old days, people would go in the pub and they'd talk to everybody, or they'd talk to, you know, but people go in the pub now, the ones that go in, I know you don't go in pubs, they just talk to themselves, and very few, you know, interact with the other people. And I think the reason behind that is they don't like us talking to each other. You know, they want us to stay at home and look at the computer screen.
Yeah.
Which is what's happening.
As long as the interactions are dysfunctional, then it's job done, you know. So
yeah, I know, and there's just too many, you know, too many people that are caught up in the illusion of life as they see it, you know, and you know, but the depth to what the deception goes, it just covers everything. There's very little things out there that are really true, you know, apart from a bit of math and stuff like that. If you look at, you know, imagine you've got some young kids now, aren't you? When they go to school, you know, they're going to get taught geography, science.
I'm not going to school, they're getting homeschooled.
You know, well, the only worthwhile stuff is probably the maths and English. You're going to homeschool them. Well, that should be interesting for you. You'll probably have the social services coming around, checking up on you and asking what you're teaching them.
No, they're in agreement. You know, at the end of the day, it's you know, it's mandatory that the kids have some sort of education, but it's not mandatory that they attend school. So,
well, that's good.
And as I've explained, you know, I'm not having the social programming or any of the ideals being pushed to them. Any nonsense claims. So, you know, they're helpful and they're respectful when they you know, you can articulate. It's not a childish game where I'm saying, you know, I just want control. You know, it's you know, I'm articulating my reasons why. You know, and that's my intention. So, all right.
Well, given that, you know, a whole lot of these people in Flat Earth now are not really there to stimulate debates on stuff. Mostly, if you listen to any of these other hangouts that they do, it's mostly small talk. I was listening to one of those free channels there, and one of the topics of discussion was, have Globers got bigger dicks than Flat Earthers? You know, and they were talking about stuff like that, and I'm thinking, well, you know, if somebody tunes into this and that's what they're talking about, it's going to be a big turn-off, isn't it?
I know, but you know, you're going to have levels of people, different levels of people, you know, discussing these kind of things. It's, you know, as we were talking about earlier on.
I don't know whether you can see this jar here now, but I started this experiment several months ago. I don't know whether you can see this jar. I'll take the top off. Can you see the mould in there?
No, it's all blurry.
You see the mould? I've got this jar. It's full of mould. You see it now? Yeah, that's full of mould. And on the outside of that, I put the words, hatred, you make me sick, I will kill you. So those words have had the effect of creating that yeast, if this one is to go by, because on this, I've got love, gratitude, and thank you. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, and there's no mould at all in that. Nothing. It's exactly the same as the day I put it in there. And this one, you know, it is full of mould. So
Yeah.
when people say words can't harm you, they can. You know, they're emotions, and whatever you say can have a big impact on those that are taking it in.
Well, I'm going to need to try that for myself, Lawrence. You know,
Yeah. Well, I'll just show you again.
I would encourage everybody.
Mold. See that mold in there, can't you? Yeah. I'll take the lid off this one. Yeah. And there's no mold. Yeah.
Well,
and the only difference, this identical stuff, I even weighed it out in both these jars. The only difference between the two are the words that are written on the outside. So love is obviously a positive frequency and hate is a negative one, which, you know, gives bad results.
Yeah. Well, listen, you know, I mean, if people want to try that, I don't know anything about that, so I'm going to try it myself, Lawrence, and, you know, I can verify.
You should use rice or anything. This is quinoa. So, you know, I just put some quinoa, cooked it in water till it cooked up like rice, put it in there, stuck the top on, put a different label on each, and there you have it. You've got something that hasn't gone bad at all and something that's covered in fungus now.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Lawrence,
anyway,
cheers for coming on, mate.
All right, mate. Nice talking to you, Del. And I'm doing well with my guitar lessons for somebody my age. Yeah, I love the guitar. I mean, I got one from my Tudor because he gets them at wholesale prices. So I got a really good guitar for 150 quid.
Nice one. Oh, you need to let me hear how you're progressing.
I can only do the finger ones now. I can't do ones with chords, but I can do the, you know, I'm doing some of the Beatles stuff, so because I love the Beatles.
Good. Nice one, mate.
Yeah. Anyway, nice talking to you, Del.
Cheers, bud.
Keep up the good work, mate. Yeah.
Cheers, man. See you later on.
Yeah. See you later, buddy.
Right. We've still got people here. Cheers, Lawrence, for coming on as well. Markovsky saying, nice one, Lawrence. You know, as I say, you know, I'm open to anybody coming on and saying anything they want and having a discussion about anything. So, you know, it's not about sides. You know, I'll discuss anything with anybody. You know, if anybody else has anything to say, you want to join in, let me know. 49 Del diehards we are. Oh, 49 watching, right? Barbie McGill, we all have to choose, or we are back to where we started, I think, but we need to teach our kids so they won't be slaves, exactly. And that's all I'm going to teach mine. You know, to empower them, you know, and they take responsibility and they don't need to depend on anybody for anything. Right. I think that's it for the discussion. Thanks, people, for taking part. Hopefully, we'll do it again sometime. But kind of pretty bumped now. Thanks again. Cheers.